This week, Stogie Geeks, episode 342. Welcome, everyone. I want to welcome everyone to watching the show. We definitely have some cigar manufacturers who I rattled some cages watching the show. We have retailers watching the show. And most importantly, we have the Stogie Geeks watching the show. This week, Drew Nelson and I welcome Greg Willis and Darrell Redmond of Emperor's Cut Cigars. Emperor's Cut Cigars is excited to announce the launch of a new line of cigars called the Jazz Series. The Jazz Series is going to be offered in 3 sizes. The wrapper is Sumatra Sun-Grown from Ecuador. The filler consists of 2 types of Dominican tobacco that are completely complemented by Nicaraguan and Peruvian leaves. And finally, the binder consists of tobacco grown in Ecuador. Visit them online at emperorscut.com. That's emperors-cut.com. Or if you want a really clear understanding of what I just said, in case you don't speak Northeast, you can go to stogiegeeks.com, episode 342. In our second segment, we have cigar news, sticks of the week, and I'm sure we're going to rattle some more cages. Stogie Geeks, buckle your seatbelts. Episode 342 starts right now.
This is a Security Weekly production. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geek Show. Welcome, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. Joe and I are already silly.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Josepa, a.k.a. Joe Hollywood, is here with me in studio.
I'm fired up. So we also have remote Drew, who is remote over in Texas. Look at you. You got some Stogie Geek swag going on in the background.
Got my banner.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm all set up for the Stogie Geek mobile lounge.
Plasencia Cigars, perfected for more than 150 years. Yours to enjoy now.
Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo.
What's up, Stogie Geeks? Episode 342 starts now. I am freaking fired up for this interview. This interview stems from our parent company, Security Weekly, when a awesome host who does Security and Compliance Weekly was at a awesome lounge. I was promised I got to go there, then the COVID hit, and I can't go there yet because, you know, we can't fly. Well, we can fly, but we shouldn't fly. We should be safe. I cannot wait till we go back to the cybersecurity conference to eventually make my pilgrimage to the Emperor's Cut Cigar Lounge. But I am super excited to introduce to you Greg Willis and Darrell Redmond of Emperor's Cut Cigars. They are launching a new line of cigars. You can, and hey, a retail store that gets it, you can purchase them online. You guys are perfect, right? I love talking to smart people. You know, I really love talking to smart people. So, without further ado, before I introduce you two, I have to do a roundtable of our guests, and we have a cameo visit, which I'm super excited to announce there. First of all, we have the little dockhead from Texas, Mr. Drew Gavin.
How's it going, fellas?
It's going well.
Good.
What's up, Drew?
Enjoying a beautiful day here in Dallas, so let's get it on.
Let's do it. I have in studio someone who is starting to become quite accustomed to G-Unit Studios, Mr. Nelson DeMello. What's up?
Good morning, everybody. Glad to be here.
By the way, if you go to StogieGeeks.com and click on Stogies, Nelson's been writing some interesting pieces over there, so check it out. He reviewed a couple of sticks and Yagua, and super glad that you are joining in
Glad to do it.
forces and coming aboard. So that's super cool. And we have a cameo visit for the gentleman who is responsible to introducing me to the two gentlemen who I'm going to introduce you to on this show. He is also the host of Security and Compliance Weekly. You can check out his show at securityweekly.com. And it is Mr. Jeff Mann.
Hey, Joe. I'm so glad that I happened to find out that you guys were finally going to be talking to Emperor's Cut, and wanted to come on and say hello to Gregory since I met him, I think, a year ago.
Yes.
And I'm glad it's worked out.
Yes, it was actually Hacker Halted. Is that correct? Was that the
It was
conference?
Hacker Halted down in Atlanta.
Yep.
We met at Maduro Cigars.
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Good
That's
to see
awesome.
you again, Jeff. Yeah.
Jeff, if you want to stick around for the interview, if you have time to ask questions, by all means, just
Absolutely. I'm mostly going to lurk, but I'm out in my cabin so I can actually have a cigar and be appropriate.
Yeah, Jeff does a cybersecurity podcast as well, and he actually has a cigar cabin. Most of us have a room or a garage or something. He's got a cabin. Like, I mean, sign me up. Right?
Dark inside. I should really just go sit on the porch and maybe you could actually see me.
Whichever works. And now I want to introduce you to two gentlemen from Emperor's Cut Cigars who this interview is all about. And we are going to hear all about the business, how it started, how they got aligned into the industry, what the lounge is like, and what the Stogie Geeks can go to their website and partake in purchasing some of these cigars. Do you guys want to do rocks, paper, scissors to see who goes first, or do you want me to just pick one?
You can just pick. That'd be good.
I will go with Greg. He was the first one to answer my email. Greg, welcome to Stogie Geeks.
Oh man, I'm just excited for our company, but I'm excited to be here with you guys. You know, we've been talking, you know, off and on for about a year, and you know, we finally made it happen. So glad to be here.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome, and we're looking forward to hearing more. And then we have Daryl Redmond. What's up, Daryl?
What's going on, fellas? I am so glad to be here and be a part of this, just to represent the cigar industry as a whole.
That's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. You guys are fired up as well, so that's good. We're all ready to rock and roll. First question out of the gate for most of the first-timers here at Stogie Geeks. Hopefully you won't be a stranger to the show. It's kind of a two-part question. It's kind of what made you want to get into the business? What were some of the decisions that you had to make to create what you've created? And then the hard question is the dynamics of working together on projects.
Yeah. So the get together is we were all friends. There were 5 of us that actually started the company. There's 7 of us that actually own it now. But there was a core of us that have known each other since college. Darnell Street, who's our managing partner and the founder of our company, he and I met as freshmen in college in Virginia. Daryl and Maurice, one of the other partners, are childhood friends. And then as fate would have it, all of us sort of met as young adults. And we used to take a lot of trips together, play golf, smoke cigars. And a lot of our trips ended up being, you know, primarily cigar trips, golf trips, and some other things that I have to shoot you if I told you about them. But, you know, we just decided to get together, and roughly 10 years ago, we were smoking so many cigars. We said, you know, and I think we were really drunk one night. We said we ought to start a cigar company. We sobered up the next day and just kind of went away with that. But then roughly 4 years ago, Darnell Street came to us and said, you know what, I really think we can do this. I mean, we all have a love and passion for cigars. The timing of it seemed to be right for a myriad of reasons. And he's a good businessman, and he basically said, put up or shut up. And so we capitalized the business. And, you know, then we started trying to shop the concept. We put together a business plan, tried to shop the concept, got some no's, you know. I mean, the cigar industry is pretty insular. I mean, and it's a very embracing industry, but, you know, you got to get in. You got to show that you're serious about it as well, because there's a lot of consumers that are very serious about cigar smoking, but the people who produce cigars are very serious about it too. But ultimately, we found a pathway in, and that's kind of how we started. In terms of, you know, the business planning of it was, it's cigar smoking, and certainly, we understood enough about that element of it that we were comfortable. What we had to do was collectively is put our business acumen together, and all of us in some form or fashion, either through our professional development or either through other businesses, we had sort of the foundation to start a business and understand margins and understand production costs. Darnell Street happens to be a supply chain expert. Greg Hurt, who's on our partnership team, has a background in global logistics. We also have another partner with distribution. Daryl is a great salesperson. We have a lawyer who's part of our partnership group. I have a background in sales and advertising and media. So we had a lot of the components and the elements that we just had to try to figure out how to put them together.
Who was going to do what?
Let me tell you something. You brought your God. It's like you're speaking my language, right? You know, because usually every time I'm on Stogie Geeks, we do reviews. We talk about companies. We interview companies, and then when we have our commentary on the second segment, sometimes it gets a little rough, and sometimes I can be like sandpaper to some of the vendors, right? Just telling them like, hey, these are the problems of the company. And then some of them, write certified letters and emails and want to question my integrity. But, at the end of the day, your story, the common point of your story is that's how I started my cigar shop. Bunch of guys hanging around smoking cigars and saying, shit, I want to own one of these things. This is a freaking super cool. This is a super cool thing to do. So that story is one of many, which I think is super cool. But more importantly, you have people who are qualified in their other careers to handle all of the aspects of the business.
Yeah.
I speak to brick and mortars all the time, either on air, off air. And it's amazing. I'm like, yeah, you got a corporate attorney? Well, I have a registered agent. I'm like, well, you should probably get one of those on retainer because issues come up. What about logistics and numbers? Well, I have a point of purchase sale, but okay, how many boxes did you sell today? I don't know. How many? And so it becomes. It's like, is this a business or a hobby? And it sounds like you guys all attacked it from a business perspective. The numbers are the numbers, right? The numbers don't lie, right? It's I'm a numbers guy, right? We track the metrics of how many downloads that we get on the show, how many people visit the website, right?
All the analytics.
And owner Paul Azadorian gives me a no-go, a go no-go for another show because why? We get great hits. We have a phenomenal audience, and it's at the end of the day, it's about the numbers.
No question.
Now,
no question.
Geographically, where are you located? Can you kind of, speaking of numbers, 60% of our Stogie Geeks will listen to you on audio. So if you could kind of create a visual of, what you wanted to stop for the lounge, what one could expect, where it is, all the details of the lounge, and what kind of atmosphere did you want to provide, and how that atmosphere compares to other shops that are in the area as well, because you guys are from Atlanta, right?
Yeah, well, we're based out of Houston. So let me clarify something for you. Jeff met us at a lounge in Atlanta. It was called Maduro's. We physically don't have a lounge per se, although we're talking about that in the Houston area. But our company is based out of a suburb of Houston. It's called Spring, Texas.
Okay. Where
3 of our partners live. And so we're not a lounge. We are just real time, cigar producers, manufacturers was the model that we started. Now, again, because we see that there's opportunity, along the lines of lounge, we've been exploring that. We just got to find something that makes sense. And obviously all of us have to get beyond COVID to see how things are going to flesh out, right? With lounges that are currently existing, we just got to see who's going to make it and who's not going to make it. And even in our industry, who's going to survive and who's not. So we'll kind of investigate that afterwards.
I think you'll survive. Let's call it how it is. You guys raised the attention of Half Wheel.
Hey, Joe, can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely. But hold on, Jeff.
yeah.
But you guys raised the attention of Half Wheel to announce your jazz series. That's a pretty big accomplishment within the industry. So you tells me you guys are making a go of this, right? It's not like you put it on your Facebook page and your 2,000 people.
Yeah, you're on the radar.
You are on the radar, right? That's what got my attention. I'm like, oh, they know about these. Here I am. This is like me going to Disneyland. Here I am thinking I'm the first in line, right?
Yeah.
And I turn the corner and there's 100 people in front of me. That's the story of my life, right? Anyway.
And you got there early.
And I got right here. I am thinking, right? And I got there. Here I am thinking. I got a breaking cigar company, and then in strolls Half Wheel with the freaking announcement to just steal my thunder. That's fine. They do it all the time. It's super cool. I love those guys over there, right? Anyway, Jeff, you had a question.
Actually, I have two questions. One might be one that you're going to ask anyway. Just an offhand question, not cigar related. You guys said you went to school in Virginia. Are you pirates by any chance?
No, we're
Hampton
not.
Pirates.
We're Spartans. We're Spartans.
He's a Spartan.
Yeah.
I'm a Duke.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to James. He went to James Madison.
I've got family that are very have close ties. I just had a granddaughter a month ago, and she's a future pirate. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The question I wanted to ask, and this might be a question that Joe will ask, but I'm going to jump the gun, since it takes him a year to turn the corner.
That's true.
So you decide to open up a cigar. I don't know what you call it. Place. Company. How do you decide to go? How do you go find somebody to make the cigars, grow the tobacco? How does that process start?
Yeah. Daryl, you want to take it or?
Well, it's all about relationships. We gathered some great relationships in our travels, and when we were trying to decide what type of cigar we want to produce, we leaned on the relationships we've had traveling throughout the country.
So if in a related question, right? In a related question, I noticed the jazz series, I believe I read, is made at La Aurora Factory. And it's funny, Joe and I were actually just talking about this. We were next door at a retail shop looking at some La Auroras. How was it working with Master Blender Manuel Inoa?
Man, he is a freaking superstar, and he is just the nicest man that you'll meet. I mean, you know how you meet people that make you feel important. I mean, this guy is a global. He's a global icon, if you will, within the tobacco industry.
Right.
But when we went down to the DR and we sought out several blenders, to be very candid with you, we interviewed blenders.
We were shopping.
I'm sorry.
I was reiterating, we were shopping for someone to help us.
Yeah.
It's a smart move.
And so he just made us feel real good about a partnership. He made us. He obviously is very knowledgeable. We told him what we were trying to accomplish in a cigar. Told him that we wanted to, not necessarily stay within the lines. I mean, we have a deep and healthy respect for, the Latino culture and the culture of cigar cultivation and production. But we also wanted to meld in, our culture here in the United States. And so we told him what we wanted, and because he's so knowledgeable, he was able to translate that very easily. And it didn't take us long to come back with something that we felt like would be a winner for us in the jazz series. So he's a great guy, nice man. Every time you talk to him, hey, my brother, how are you? I mean, he just makes you feel really special. Love him.
That's
really
great.
Good. Nice
Absolutely,
man.
absolutely. We actually had the honor to interview him here at Stogie Geeks.
Yeah.
He was talking about how when he tastes the blend for that particular batch, he takes notes, and they'll plant like different trees around the plantation to get certain nutrients. He's a mad scientist, man. He went down a path. Went down a path of the interview, and he's like, "Yeah, we put I believe it was a citrus tree, if my translation was right, You know, it was a citrus tree that he did one over there, and he plans it for the next thing, and then he knows what he's gonna do, and he moves them around, and he's just a mad scientist. And like, you know, if you're going to get into the business and make a go, like it really comes to like 5 factories, really. You know what I mean? If to be totally candid. And the good news is, you guys picked one of the 5. So for the people that are in the know, you picked one of the 5, and I'm sure it was a tough choice. You know what I mean? As to, you know, who's going to be close, who's there. But one thing I know about La Aurora is they're super into long-lasting relationships. So you guys are in the right place.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, that's kind of confirmation for, you know, what we were trying to do. But you know, we met some, and you guys know this. I mean, you know, it's like being on a basketball court in the inner city where, you know, some of the best basketball players you never know about. I mean, it's like that down there about tobacco production and cigar making. There are a lot of great cigar manufacturers down there who we don't know about. And we smoked a lot of great cigars. I think it came down to who could help us accomplish what we needed in a reasonable manner. And then, of course, you know, the deal breaker was, you know, you get to meet with and work with somebody like Mr. Onoa. That's pretty awesome. And so we feel very fortunate that, you know, he agreed to work with us, and he was just so nice along the way. Just awesome guy.
Absolutely. So you made the blend. That was the original blend.
Yeah.
And then now talk to us about this jazz.
So we're really excited about it. So when we went to the DR, and I'm gonna let Daryl talk more about it, but here's the bottom line. As a boutique cigar, we produced the Natural Pleasure line, which is Nicaraguan, and we came to market with that, and we only had one cigar, and I think this is important just to let everybody know. And this was a business decision. You know, it didn't make sense to produce a full line of cigars, not knowing how you were going to be received in the market. I mean, we understood that, you know, we had to overcome a lot of you know, preconceived notions about cigars. There's a ton of them in the market. It's almost like going to the supermarket now and trying to buy a boutique beer. I mean, there's 1,000 of them there.
Sure.
And so how do you differentiate and distinguish yourself in the noise? So we had all of those considerations. So we only came to market with one cigar, and it was a Toro. And that Toro picked up really fast. And it really caught us off guard by how well people were receiving the Nicaraguan cigar that we produced. And so immediately, about 3 to 4 months into it, after meeting a lot of people and people saying that they really enjoyed the cigar, the next question was, what's next? What's next? What's next? And we were thinking, you know, can we just get through this Toro and get our money back, or at least, you know, break even?
Good luck with that.
Yeah, right, exactly. Good luck with that.
You know that.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, but we said, okay, let's go find us a Dominican blend. And so then we started doing the homework. So I'll let Daryl take it from there, and he can talk to you a little bit more about, you know, the Dominican and what we did.
Okay, well, the Dominican blend, I guess, is like baking a cake. You know, there's different layers and different applications when you're putting together a cake. You know, you have the how much sugar you're going to put in it, how many eggs, all of the things that come into play when just baking a cake or trying to describe how you bake the cake. Well, this jazz line is a complex line. Kind of like baking a cake. We have different layers of flavors that we feel complemented one another. You mentioned the 2 types of Dominican leaf that we have, the Cirolo and the Criollo. We have a little Peruvian leaf in there, and then the Nicaraguan leaf, all coming together to make a nice, smooth cigar. We complement that cigar with our notes of pepper at the beginning. Then it evolves to a little woody flavor throughout the cigar. And then it ends up with a great creamy flavor toward the last third of the cigar. I was really excited the first or second time I tried the cigars and said, okay, this is good. No, it's a little bit better than I thought it would be. Great cigar. I'm enjoying it. I hope everyone else gets a chance to enjoy it just as much as I've been doing it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And let me just kind of tag on to that. So if you're thinking about the inspiration for the cigar, jazz music is something that all of us love. And if you know anything about jazz, I mean, jazz can be a lot of things, right? It can be straight ahead, it can be avant-garde and bebop, and it can be smooth, and it can be fusion.
Yep.
But what we were looking to accomplish was in the cigar, and Daryl sort of alluded to it in describing it, is that we didn't want the cigar. Typically, a cigar can pretty much reveal, like right off the bat, what it's about. But we also know that jazz music doesn't necessarily reveal right off the bat what it's about. It starts out slow and understated, and then it sort of builds upon itself. And then, all of these disparate melodies, from the instruments, sort of just kind of play their role to create this harmony. And so with the blend that we have, that's what we were trying to accomplish, just to replicate, what the genre of jazz is. We were trying to replicate sort of that sensation in the cigar. And that's the reason why we have so many long filler tobacco in it.
You guys are so speaking my language. I actually went to Berkeley, EE, in Boston, College of Music. It's a music school. And,
oh, nice.
And they are convinced the Ramones are jazz influenced. And I'm like, well, explain that to me. And believe me, it was a 45-minute conversation with my professor, and I was in agreement afterwards. Not because I wanted to get a good grade in the course, but I was like, wow, really? So you have 3 different lines. One's called the Jazz Miles, one is the Jazz Train, and one is the Jazz Dizzy. And yes. So having known a little bit about jazz, I'm having a visual of what each one would taste like. If I was going personality-wise, I would probably do the Dizzy. Right? I would be like, yo, give me some of those Dizzies, and then I would do the Train because I'm a big fan of Robustos.
I thought it was because you were a train wreck.
No. Nah, enough of the insults this week. I've reached my limit with vendors this week. By the way, you want to definitely tune into next segment for that. I'm sure I won't be having word economy for that. But anyway, so talk what you came up with the Emperor's Cut, right? Obviously, when you start a cigar company, you have to have a vision of presentation, right? Yeah. So how did that come all about? Like the Emperor's Cut, like because to me it's like, oh man, like the Emperor's Cut, like is it fit for an emperor? Is it good?
Yeah, there you go.
You got it.
How you already got it.
How would an emperor cut a cigar? Actually, he or she wouldn't, right? Somebody else would cut the cigar for the emperor. You know what I mean? If I were an emperor, would I smoke an Emperor's Cut? I mean, you have to. You almost have to smoke that, right? If you're an emperor. What do you think, Nelson?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I plan on. I'm smoking right now the
Maduro.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is phenomenal.
Yeah. You know something?
I feel like an emperor right now.
Greg. When you
do my bidding.
When you ship me the cigars, right? When you sent me the cigars, I said to Johnny, I says, I can almost guess the factory of where this was rolled. And the funny thing is, I'm super excited. I missed it by 1, but number 2 was La Aurora. Like so when and the reason what threw me off was the Nicaraguan component threw me off. Mm-hmm. It had a very by the way, I'm talking about the first series, not the Jazz, right? The Natural Pleasure series. You had sent us the Toro, which is a 6.5 by 52 size. There and the lingering Nicaraguan component on the retrohale. I was like, okay, somebody good rolled these, right? That was because believe me, we get a lot of cigars from a lot of companies that come in, and now my thing to make it fun is I try to guess the factory, and because of the Nicaraguan component, my first guess was the Alec Bradley factory. My second guess was the La Aurora factory. I was like, because there's something about the cigar that. If you're retrohaling, make sure you do it slow. It just lingers.
I am actually.
it just lingers. And that was when I said, okay, these guys are onto something. Then I did some more research and I found out that you were on Half Wheel. And I was like, okay. So the good news is, for me, a positive is like, okay, at least my palate isn't going to crap, right? At least I'm like, okay, and super excited to have you guys on. With the Jazz series, like what? Yes. So talk to us a little about the Emperor's Cut and how that came about. Were there any names in the runner-up? I love this question too, because even when we interview other cigar manufacturers and stuff like that, cigar companies, I always like to know, like, what if you want to disclose them, what some of the runner-up names were, because I think the Stogie Geeks will really geek out on that.
Well, I will say to you, you know.
It's like picking a baby, right? It's like picking a baby name.
We've done a good job. If I can use a baseball analogy, we've had some good leadoff hits, you know, in terms of our business. I mean, we've had some things that have gone really, really, really well. Of course, we've had some things that have been very challenging. But the name, the Emperor's Cut, Darnell, our managing partner, when we were all talking about this, and you actually told the story. We were saying, what is a name that's different that signifies power? And an emperor is a name that sort of denotes power, right? And so it kind of takes power. So we came up with the Emperor's Cut pretty fast. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's awesome. We didn't really have a second. I mean, we were thinking about something that denoted power. When you smoked that cigar, how did it make you feel? And did it denote something of authority? And so we did some research in history and Roman Empire and the Moors, and and we understood that from a historical standpoint, about the Moors in the Roman, before the Roman Empire became the Roman Empire, the Moors were in some ways a very dominant culture. And so we came up with emperors, and then we added cut, because this is the Emperor's Cut of cigars. That's as simple as it was, to be honest with you.
That's super cool. No, sometimes you're all in on a name, I was all in on my son's name until he was born, and he looked like nothing like what the two names we walked
didn't match up.
We walked into the hospital, we had two names involved, two names. It was going to be this or this, and then it was like he came out and I was like, he doesn't look like any of those names, and we were like, what do we do now? You know what I mean? We true story. We had his pediatrician picked out before his name on the documents that you fill out at the hospital and all that stuff, But yeah, so true story. But yeah, so
that's awesome.
So it was, you guys were all in on the Emperor's Cut.
All in. We thought it sounded regal.
So I guess the next question is, right? When's the third one coming out? Because that's gonna happen pretty soon, maybe, right? You guys on a roll?
Yeah. So when we went to Nicaragua back in January for business, but also it sort of tied into the tobacco festival, and man, we smoked. I mean, we had to be iron lungs. We smoked a lot of cigars, trying to seek some inspiration for some additional blends that we anticipated bringing to market this year. Obviously, COVID has had such an impact on all of our businesses that you have to sort of refocus on, driving revenue and sustainability at this point, right? So I do anticipate that we will have another blend. My sneaking suspicion is, and I had a conversation with Darnell the other day, is that it's likely sometime in Q2 of next year. We want to give the Jazz series an opportunity to gain some traction in the marketplace, because we think we have a really good cigar. So we'll kind of ride. So there's two thoughts on this. It's really important. We'll try to continue to ride the momentum of the Jazz series. But the other piece of it is shows like this expose us to markets that heretofore we hadn't necessarily been in. So we see that the Natural Pleasure, the cigar that you guys are smoking, has plenty of runway left, that we could still get a lot more mileage out of that Natural Pleasure blend, just by, you guys being gracious enough to allow us on and exposing us to your audience, and maybe a percentage of them will give us a try.
Yeah. No, it's a smart answer. It's all about the numbers.
It's all about the numbers.
It's all about the numbers. Now, I know our co-host, the little dark-haired kid from Texas, has a question.
I actually was stepped out for a few minutes in case you guys didn't get my messages on the chat.
Oh,
So,
what chat? What chat? What chat? With the Zoom chat? I'm not on the Zoom
Skype
chat.
Oh, I'm
You're
sorry.
chatting Johnny, not me.
Okay, yeah, I stepped out. I actually just joined back the conversation here like a minute and a half ago. So I
Okay.
apologize. I had some business that was going on outside my window I had to take care of. So there it is. So I apologize, gentlemen. But so are you all from Dallas? Somebody's from Houston? Is that my understanding?
We're
go ahead, G.
dispersed across the country. I'm in Fort Lauderdale area. Greg is in Atlanta. We have 3 partners in the Texas market, and we have
Okay.
2 partners in Virginia, one in the DC market and one in the Tidewater market.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I'll have to get to know who your market guys here in Texas and, give them some info here in Dallas. I'm in North Dallas, so I'm
nice.
in the Irving area.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
my cigar lounge is in Bedford, Texas here, so it's just a few miles from here. But
Nice.
I've heard of the cigar line. I've yet to get my hands on some and get them smoke and enjoy the smoke. But just listening to the description or reading the description, and then and talking to some people online, they said this is a very, it's definitely going to be a classic cigar for sure. So, congrats,
Thank
guys.
you. We'll make sure you get some cigars. We'll make sure you get some next week.
All righty,
so-
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's done. Yeah.
Fort Lauderdale, Daryl.
Yes.
When we can fly again, I will be 3 weeks out there.
When you come down here, we'll be smoking some cigars together.
I go to, I always pronounce it wrong, and my girl gets mad. Las Olas Boulevard. I go to the Havana.
Havana, yeah, that's a nice
dude,
little cigar lounge. around the corner from there.
Every time I'm in town, I do a Stogie Geek show from there. And let me tell you something. The guy's like, come on in, do the show. It's great. And I've been trying to move down there for a while now. But Mama Bear says no. So I will visit there for 3 weeks and whatnot. So I'll definitely look you up for sure.
Definitely do that. I'm the guide for Miami for those who come here to visit.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about everything here. I've been here about 23 years total.
Yeah.
I left Virginia thinking I would finally go back one day, and got down here and said, no, I'm not ever going back.
I hear you. Have you ever got down?
Nice.
My son is 2 years old, and he's been to Calle Ocho over in Little Havana. And let me tell you something. Like it's amazing.
If you go down to Calle Ocho, we're doing the launch, our launch from Cuban Crafters, which is right down the street from there. It's off of 14th, and Calle Ocho, of course, is off of 8th.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So you guys distribute within shops?
Yeah.
How's that going?
So we have a 2-pronged model. I don't mind telling you, that when we started, because of our background and our business model, we understood e-commerce really well, and we said, you can attack that market pretty aggressively. But here's what we learned fast that you guys knew. The cigar industry is a high touch point industry, right? You have to build your rapport literally one customer at a time. And we also know that, customers are not necessarily, smokers are not. There are some who are explorers who will buy a cigar sight unseen or unknown without knowing little about the cigar. They're just explorers. But the majority have to know something and have to have a frame of reference about the companies. And so we made a pivot pretty quickly and started touching retail partners. But we also understood too, much like any good retailer and manufacturer, that you got to have good retail partners, people who will understand your cigar, appreciate your cigar, and have the confidence to promote your cigar, even to those cigar smokers who say, I know what I like, right? And we know those type of cigar smokers, right? I just know that I like a X or a Y, and I'm not interested in trying anything else. We wanted to be in shops we've attempted to approach shops where we had a sense that, their humidor managers or the people, whomever, are confident in making recommendations. If someone says, I like a Nicaraguan and I like XYZ, well, great. All right. I know that you've tried those 3 or 4. You've been here. Why don't you give this Emperor's Cut a shot as well, and be able to kind of stand on their knowledge and their confidence in the cigar. So we've grown our business in terms of retail shops in a very short period of time. We're currently in 19 states now, and we have grown our presence into, we're just under 100 shops and lounges. And I think we would have been in a lot more, but COVID hit. And, the one thing that we didn't want to do is be a tone deaf business while people were struggling to survive, going in begging for business. We had an online platform that we knew would help support us. Mm-hmm. And so we were able to sell cigars that way.
That's great.
But we can but we do want to go back and grow our presence. I mean, in particular, we want to go more in the Northeast, although we just saw that, New York City or state of New York raised its tobacco tax to 75%. That doesn't make a lot of sense. That's going to make a cigar, as much as a car note.
Yeah.
Right.
But, that's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you bring up a lot of interesting points, and I like to break them down. You guys are just such a breath of fresh air for the industry, and I sincerely mean that. Like, you guys are, you just seem to get it, right? You use the word explorers. Right. Our target audience is the cigar explorer, right? Yeah. Someone who wants to go out there and try something different and take a chance on a stick, as opposed to the one who comes into the lounge and just smokes his or her favorite stick, and then there you go. The good news is that there's room for everybody. Right.
Yep.
Yes.
And the great news is you guys are set up on e-commerce. One of the things that I was impressed with you guys, and I actually took a page out of your book to actually use on a Stogie Geeks episode. This was the first week of COVID, so I'm making it up, maybe teens of March, 20 of March, when we were starting to, here in Rhode Island, be on lockdown. I had to do the show remote. The only one who was allowed in studio was Johnny. Everyone did the shows remote. And I noticed that the Emperor's Cut, so Stogie Geeks, you want to go to emperors-cut.com, but and sign up for the newsletter, because you guys had the pandemic survival pack. I saw
that.
No. And so here's the point of my conversation. It's like, dude, I've never met these guys in my life yet. I've been trying to get them on the show for a while. We all know the story when the episode started, right? And it's like, they freaking get it. Like, they get it. Like, hey, man, you're in lockdown under your house. Go to our website. We're going to ship you cigars.
In a humidor.
Right. Like, you know what I mean? You want to be set up, or we know you can't go to your lounge. We got a COVID survival. I don't know. I think it was a pandemic. It was a pandemic.
Yeah, we called it the homebound survival kit.
Yeah, the survival kit, right?
Great.
It was, and the funny thing is, when I speak to retailers or cigar companies, some of them not even online yet. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? Like this is great, because it's great to go to work when you get an email of invoices of people who already paid. Like, it's like hello, like, welcome to 1996, right?
Yep.
So as soon as, and so I always get your emails. I'm on the email list, and super impressed with the pivotability of the company to cater to your audience of explorers who are trapped in their house.
Yep.
Yes.
So hats off to that.
Well done.
Jeff, do you have a question? Or you just
actually.
Oh, there you go.
I also have ordered a couple packs in the last year. I'm curious, are you guys going to offer a sample pack of any sort to try all 3 Jazz cigars at once?
Yeah. So that's a great question. Couple of answers on that. Obviously, a business imperative we'll always be nimble enough that we'll make an adjustment. I think initially, It's a limited production cigar. We have them in 5 and 10 counts, and obviously we have them in 20 counts for some of our retail partners. Right now, Jeff, I don't think the plan is to do the sample pack right now. That doesn't mean that it's not going to change. We just launched the cigar October 1, and we've had really good response in terms of ordering. And what's been interesting, Jeff, is that a lot of people have been ordering the 10 counts. I mean, they're not even ordering the 5 counts at this point. And some of that is because I think, we do a good job with customer service. We try to be a very transparent company. When you order from us, you get a response back from us pretty quickly about order received. Second piece of it is that we're going to send you tracking information pretty quickly. And so I think combined with how people receive that natural pleasure, they were just kind of like, well, if these guys are producing cigars, and this is not about us, this is just what we perceive is happening with our customer base. They trust us enough that we produce a good enough cigar that an investment on the 10 count is a pretty good thing. And so they've been ordering a lot of 10 counts. That's the majority of what we've been able to ship out in the last 2 days.
So my next question to both of you then, each of you,
Yes.
if I'm getting them one at a time, what's the preferred order to try them?
Yeah. D, you want to take that one?
The preferred order to try the cigars? I definitely like this, the Toro, the Miles that I'm smoking right now, the Jazz series. If you haven't tried any of our cigars, this one is pretty damn good. That's all I can say. It's pretty damn good. I like the size of it. The 56 ring gauge is perfect for me. I would start with that one. If you're a medium to full body smoker, you'll enjoy the Miles the most, I think. The Gordito would be the second one I'd choose. If we're sticking with the Jazz flavor, because I like that size a little bit larger and it's a little shorter smoke. It's only a 4-inch cigar. So if I'm crunched with time, I might go with the Gordito. And then when I'm just relaxing, that Grand Robusto will take me to places I haven't been before. It's just like the Jazz music that you listen to. Each one has a little bit of time you want to spend with it in order to get the most out of the cigar.
Cool.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, Jeff. I mean, I think D's order is good. I mean, the Toro is just, man, it's a cigar that makes you think. So if you want a cigar that you smoke and you sort of on each draw, you just go, whoa, what is that? Or what is that I'm tasting now? Outside of sort of what's dominant throughout it all is this woodsy essence, if you will. But I mean, the cigar it just changes up. Like, it's like watching a saxophonist, play all of these funky notes that all of a sudden you go, whoa, how did he do that? That's what that cigar sort of replicates. And I mean, I'm not saying that just for hyperbole's sake. I mean, it just is an interesting cigar. And then to his point, the Train, the Grand Robusto, it's just kind of a straight ahead cigar. It's just going to reveal, all of what we were attempting to deliver in the essence of that cigar. You're going to get it. And then, the Dizzy is it's hitting you hard and fast and you're done. And if you just wanted a good smoke that delivers some good flavor, that's what it does.
I was watching the Heat getting pummeled by the Lakers the other night. And I was sitting smoking the Train, and I actually texted Greg. I said, I just hit a note in this Train that made me say, "Wow, this is a good damn cigar." And he just giggled on the reply, laugh out loud. We're finding that the more we smoke it, the more we're enjoying it.
All right.
Yeah. You really have to. If you don't have time to sit down and sort of meditate over it, I mean, I wouldn't recommend that you smoke it. Smoke it when you got some time. You can really sort of pick the cigar apart, because it really does deliver some very interesting things, just by virtue of the types of long filler we have in it.
So you've made a conscious effort to go long filler.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I have to ask, other than not having it all over your shirt, was there any reasoning behind that? Because I noticed the difference. I'm when it comes to long fillers, me personally, I have my reasons why I like them more. I'm dying to hear yours. Like, what was the conscious effort for that?
Well, you kind of hit on, sort of one, but I mean, again, we're a young company, and we're talking to people like you who are Stogie geeks, right?
Sure.
And it's a credibility issue as much as it is anything else. I mean, take all of the other, maybe quasi-scientific reasons out of it. At the end of the day, if I have to have a conversation with someone like you about the credibility of my company, I've got to be able to tell you that I know at least I sound like I know what we're talking about. And I think that was as much of a driving force for our decision making as anything else, aside from some of the more scientific and, the scientific reasons why you would do that.
Yeah. No. To me, I can pick out what I try to do is when I get a new stick or I try a stick, I don't look it up, right? I try to just take my notes. Okay, is it short filler? Is it long filler? Which country, right? And I kind of give myself a test, right? I give myself a test. And when it comes to the long fillers, the difference, other than the cosmetic differences of it, like going all over your shirt or whatever, the tobacco burns just a lot slower. Now I'm a bullet. Yes. Now I'm a bullet cut, so so it's going to be even more slower, right? It's going to take even longer to accomplish that, and I like that slowness, that almost like time-stopping ability that a cigar has to offer. I know it sounds crazy, but
you're right on point.
But there are some times where life's crazy enough, right? I want to be taken away for 2 hours and go somewhere and go on a journey with a cigar, and what I find with the long fillers is they linger on your palate just a little bit longer as well, and so you have slow burning, it lingers on your palate, you kind of get that umami feeling. I had to do the for the Stogie Geeks listeners, right? So for the ones who are just listening and not watching, and it to me, it's just like an upgraded level of presentation. And when I say presentation, I also want to put experience in there as well. Like, it just brings you to another level, as opposed to some that just, throw fillers in there and then go away. And then I also notice, and then I'll shut up and we'll ask a question, see if Drew over there has a question. He's been kind of quiet. I also notice not only does it linger on your palate, but the cadence as to how much smoke it releases on your palate delivers it. And it's almost like a conveyor belt, right? To me, right? If I had to create a visual, which we have to, right? It's like a conveyor belt, and it's like you just take it all in, and then if you retrohale or if you don't, whatever you do with your smoking, and you're like, man, like this is something really cool, as opposed to some short fillers where if I'm doing computer work and going like that over there. And then I look down and I'm like, "Yep, that was a short filler." So yeah, absolutely. So it just proves sometimes like you've taken that into consideration.
And we also wanted to make sure that it had a nice clean finish when you finish smoking the cigar as well. It doesn't linger as a bad aftertaste on your cigar, on your palate afterwards.
Yep. You also bring up a good point, Al. It's tough to create a stick that you can smoke down to the nub, especially if you bullet cut it as opposed to either V or the guillotine cut. It's really tough. And when I had the Emperor's cut and I was trying to guess the factory, I was like, it's just lingering like that. I knew it was Nicaraguan right off the riff, and I was like, wow, like it's you're really getting onto something here. So hats off to you and your team for putting that all together. And hopefully the numbers make sense. Drew.
They have to.
Drew, what are you thinking over there in Texas?
No, I'm just doing my homework over here on the jazz series, and I was just thinking of some of my jazz favorites like Fats Weller, and I was thinking I'm gonna have to send these guys some notes on a Fats Waller, blend, because and it's cool. I like that. I like that they're, you got the Dizzy, you got the Miles, you got the Train. So I know where this is going, and so I'm just kind of, thinking of the, the cigar matching with the with the music, with the and that's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna enjoy this because this is one of the this right here with a nice scotch or a nice whiskey and just sitting out in the cigar.
Yes.
This is going to be very, very awesome weekend for me in a couple weeks once I get everything together.
You will. Nelson's having the Maduro now. Right?
Well, this is actually so. I was going to
now?
mention. I know this is all about the jazz, right? And I unfortunately haven't had a chance to try one yet.
Me neither. It's okay.
But
The world hasn't. It came out in October.
I want to give a
September.
shout out to the Natural Pleasure, which, by the way, might be the sexiest name for a cigar in the industry. Natural Pleasure. I mean, that's freaking great. I don't know who came up with that.
Especially, I put my deep voice on it, the natural.
Oh yeah, I hear that. All right, this is getting weird now, but
I can picture. I'll tell you one thing, Daryl. If you did a Stogie Geeks commercial, we have to use your voice.
Oh yeah.
I'm there for you.
Yeah.
Let me know when.
But I did, Greg, Daryl. I want to give a shout out to the Natural Pleasure. I had the Toro, fantastic. Retro Hill, fantastic.
You're having that now. You mean
Yeah, I know.
You're having it now.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
freaking amazing. Awesome
Natural
smoke
Pleasures.
production.
It pairs well with a Uncle Nearest as well.
Nice.
Oh, Uncle
Noted.
Nearest? Oh, okay. Nice.
Did you notice the lingering Nicaraguan, or am I off my rocker?
Yeah, I'm not you. No,
Okay. All right. I don't know.
I'm not a factory nerd. No,
I'm not a factory nerd at all. I just, you don't notice it like hang. You can't taste that on your damn palate right now.
no, I'm not a factory guru like
Nah,
you.
he's drinking whiskey.
I just enjoy good cigars and drinking. What's wrong with that?
There you go. Well, so do I.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers. Absolutely.
Daryl.
Absolutely. Drew, anything else you're gonna add?
No, man, these guys are right on. I mean, I'm liking what I see on their website.
Real deal.
Easy to navigate. The journey, I'm enjoying that the blog that's there, and this is definitely, you can definitely tell that this company understands what they're doing in the business, and whether they're new or not, they definitely got a good base. For sure, and like you said, it's nice to have somebody that has e-commerce on their website for their cigars, and just enjoy shopping and doing it with ease. So
That's a great point, Drew. Greg and Dal, you guys are very organized for a new company.
yeah,
Thank you. Yeah.
We are. We try.
Hey, yeah,
First
go
of
ahead.
all, you showed up to the Stogie Geek interview on time. Right, which is like usually in the cigar world, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is 1:12. Then we do the audio check. You know what I mean? And all that stuff. Right?
but you know what else to that too? Have you seen their corporate commitment scorecard? That's pretty cool. I like that they are sharing this. What it takes. The commitment it takes to really be in this industry. It can be fickle at times, but
You think?
Yeah, but to share, their process and the thought process, the internal business process. We're here. I mean, it's nice. You got the financial process, the internal business process, learning and growth, and of course customers. So these are things that really navigate people when they see this type of commitment, and they're like, what, this is something I can get on board with, and takes them on a discovery of a lifetime. So kudos to you guys. You guys are doing this correct.
Thanks.
I like
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Thank you.
So, what? Now, once you evaluate your projects and where you guys are going, when you first started this journey, how many years has it been?
So we've been a business for 4 years.
Okay.
We've been like hyperactive for the last 3, and we've been in market for just over 2 years.
Okay, so when you started this journey 4/2 years ago, really, of getting things going. What did you think was going to happen? And what has changed that you're like, oh, we're never going to do that again? Oh, holy crap, we should do that again. Like, what was it? Because like you said, sometimes the industry and Nelson and Drew, you know, we have interviews every week, you know, and you know, it's not it's a friendly industry. But it's tough to get shelf space.
A lot of partnerships.
Right? It's tough to get shelf space. Have you been to any trade shows? Have you? I know COVID's put a huge damper on that. Are you looking to kind of go that route? Are you kind of gonna kind of stay true?
Yeah. So that's a really thoughtful question.
Welcome to Stogie Geeks.
Yeah. You sound like an emperor.
I was called a bad emperor yesterday.
Well played.
I was called a bad emperor yesterday. But anyway, yeah, you'd have to go to Stogie Geeks Live and stick on the second segment for that. But
okay. No, that's a good question. So a couple of things. Let me see if I can kind of break down a couple of them. The first one was, you know, being an upstart and you know, you talked about the numbers. So we're really driven by the numbers, and we're also pretty, you know, we're fairly shrewd in terms of, you know, where do you compete, right? And so when you go to the bigger trade shows, at least initially for us as an upstart, you know, we evaluated our ability to fight through the noise as an upstart, and in some respects, some of the bigger shows, it didn't necessarily make sense for us to do that from an investment standpoint. We believed enough, Joe, in our hustle that, you know, we could, because of geographically where we were located. I mean, we got Daryl in South Florida. I'm here in a pretty big market in Atlanta. We had DC covered. And I failed to mention, and please forgive me, we have a woman who's part of our ownership group, and her name is Timely Bush. They call her Timmy, and she had the ability to do a lot of traveling. So we were, and then we had Maurice in the Hampton Roads, Virginia area. So we had the ability to, through our own grit and hustle, we could touch a lot of places and put our fate in our own hands, if that makes sense, where we would have sort of that one-on-one, that direct line of communication with a shop owner or a group of shops. And so that's really the direction that we took initially. Obviously, the TPE and some of these other things might make a little bit more sense. And I think we were evaluating, you know, to go to those when the time was right. Obviously, all of that stuff has been affected by COVID now. So as we continue to grow and we continue to sort of develop our mind share throughout the nation, then it might make more sense for us to make the kind of investment to stand out. Because if you don't go there and don't stand out, then, you know, you can get squashed by some of the bigger names in the industry going to those shows. I mean, it's a frame of reference thing, right? Consumers tend to go where they know. Like, there are explorers, and you made that point to us. But we also know that there's a very real element of this. If somebody sees Drew Estate's big display or Rocky Patel's big display or whatever the case may be, they're going there first, right? And that's where there's a perception issue where they go there thinking, you know, those are where the best cigars are. And we know that there are plenty of cigar manufacturers out here, particularly in the boutique space, who are doing great things too. You just got to figure out where do you fit, right? And can you compete?
Yep. Wow. Yeah. You guys are internally centered, which is my favorite type of company, as opposed to externally centered, who worry about what other people say about them and then pivot. So, you know,
never has been the case with us.
No, and you guys also have something going for you, where all of your, I guess you could say, executive management are positioned geographically. Let's face it. If I or Nelson or Drew were to do a list of hotspots, cigar hotspots, like, you know, South Florida, Atlanta, Texas, it's not like one of your partners is sitting in Wyoming, right? Or Idaho. Sorry for any Story Geeks listeners from Wyoming or Idaho, but no, you know, DC, like DC is a huge hot spot. New York is, and you know what's kind of crazy? You know, you had touched upon this before with the taxes, right? Now, with the New York tax, I mean, you know, it there's gonna be some leeway room with how it's a percentage of the box and it's not retail and all of that stuff there. I mean, if you do the math on an average stick, you are about $2 more per stick. And let's face it, whether you're a Stogie Geek host or whether you're listening to Stogie Geeks or whether you're being interviewed or whichever, or you're a co-host, at the end of the day, we're going to pay for it. It's just like milk. It's just like gas. It's just like tires or anything else that went up, COVID or anything else like
Sometimes
that.
not as important.
Sure, but right, but you know, at the end of the day, they're going to end up getting it. But you guys are all in the geographic hotspots that you need to survive, and maybe it might be 2022, 2023 before you consider going to a mainstream trade show. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. At least you know where you are in the space. And that's important. Yes. That is super important. Now, I have interviewed, and Drew and myself and previous Stogie Geek hosts have interviewed companies, and Jeff certainly does in his cybersecurity podcast over there as well, right? You know, like some companies don't know where they are in the space. You guys know where you are. You know where you want to go. You've created blends that you passionately feel and feel that if someone tries our cigar, they're probably going to reorder them, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you're very comfortable. And the point of my rant is that it's amazing that you've been in the industry for just 2 years actively, you know, as far as going for it, you know, 3 years, right? And you already know who you guys are.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I get that point across. I definitely realize that from just talking to you two. I would love to do a panel of all 7 partners and have one rowdy conversation as well about all the aspects, you know, all the aspects of the business. And if you ever wanted to do that, open invitation whenever you guys have that powwow, we can put that together, because I think that it's super important for the Stogie Geeks to understand that. But I also think that some of the retailers can take a page out of your book.
Man, that's a big compliment.
I'm just telling you. No, I'm just telling you. No, because you know there are some interviews we do, and we don't talk about a lot of business structure, because when the answers they give me, they're just not there. You know what I mean? They're just not there. You know, and or we would get into more of a branding and marketing, and I could take this interview and anywhere you guys want to go. But I really think that for your second interview and your second appearance on Stogie Geeks, by the way, open invitation. We got to get some more partners on your end, because I think it's super important for the business aspect to really, really get across. Because you guys are saying, hey, we know that there's a trade show, but hey, we're not ready yet. And you know something? We know we're not ready yet. You're being who you are. And by the way, if other companies could be who they are and not pretend to be something else, and I can go and rattle names. I probably will next segment, right? But you know, stay tuned, right? Definitely, but definitely, you guys just have a grasp on that.
I would echo that, Joe. Absolutely. I was thinking back to the answer you gave when Joe was asking about, you know, where you're going for 2021, what's next, and you were talking about, hey, I got to wait and see what's going on with jazz. Is that going to get traction? Where's it going to go? I love that iterative approach. I think that's fantastic. So I agree. Like, we don't get that kind of feedback from they just want to manufacture, throw things out. And sometimes I get that, you know, you want to throw things out, you want to test the market, but doing it iteratively, staying true to what you have and seeing where it goes, but believing in it and staying behind it, I think it's fantastic. Joe absolutely hit it on the head.
Yeah. No, I'm Drew. What do you think? Am I crazy?
Well, yeah.
No, man, you're not crazy. Come on, man. I don't hang out with crazy people.
I'm just saying. Like, no, like normally, no, they say, well, I created a cigar for the blue collar worker, and it's gonna be $8 and whatnot. And you're like, okay, cool. Like that was your that was your marketing strategy. Like can I created a cigar that smells like perfume and crap, and it's just like, no, and it's only $8, right? And I created a cigar that was 12, but since the guy left the company, we're not gonna make it 17. I'm talking about Drew Say, and it's like, and people buy it, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like people, but again, I don't know. I from my standpoint, I can honestly say it's a privilege and an honor to be a host of Stogie Geeks. I don't want to speak for my co-host. I don't know if they were drafted or signed something. I don't know. But, and to hear your story, you guys are a breath of fresh air. Because you remind me of an old school interview guy we had, George Rico from Gran Habano Cigars, right? And
good cigar.
Right. And when you go and you talk about George Rico, right? And it's like, okay, he made 60 ring gauges before they became popular. And then, he went online, and a lot of people are like, wow, that stuff's all available online, this and that. Well, the shops, there are some good stuffs that he makes, and his line is pretty extensive that he's forgot years that it's come out. I've had to correct him and say, it came out in this year. He's like, no, I don't think so. And then at the end, he's like, yeah, Joe, I think you were right. It did come out in that year. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, because he's done so many things. But the funny thing is, he, like you, is internally centered. They don't try to be the bigger company. They don't try to go out and focus on the big trade show and take all their chips and put it in that show and then maybe potentially come up short. And it's funny how both of the industries, cybersecurity and cigars, work the same way, right? When a cybersecurity company comes on the market for us, they go to a trade show for 5 years and they have the biggest booths and they get a magician. Like you get a magician to do the thing, or they get a clown, not a clown. I digress. They get a magician, or they're serving freaking steak tips and all of that stuff. No, and then 5 years later, they don't go to a trade show because they blew their budget on that. And by the way, if you're going to a booth for a trade show, why would you have a magician there? It's supposed to be about your product.
I thought you were kidding.
Right.
No, I'm not kidding.
Actually, a freaking magician there.
Ask Jeff. He's been seeing it for. I don't want to expose his age, but he's been seeing it for at least 10 years.
That's fucking bananas. That is bananas.
Jeff, am I right or wrong?
Closer to 40 years.
Okay.
Mud on the meat.
Jeff, right? I mean, if you go to a trade show and you see a booth with a magician, don't you want to see the product so you could see if any of your clients would benefit from the product or?
No, frankly, I'm more likely to just walk on by because if you're reverting to tricks like that to try to draw the audience, then what it tells me is you don't believe in your product.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now,
and it can't stand on its own. Right.
Point.
Now, before I get hate email or any certified letters or anything like that delivered next week, okay, there are a couple of exceptions in the cigar world. Like, for example, Avo, right? Avo was a phenomenal musician. Avo Sr. Phenomenal jazz musician, if you will, right? And phenomenal. Perdomo always puts on a show and plays the drums on his thing. That's different because that's exposing the element of the leader.
It's real.
Yes.
It's saying, hey, man, I think it's super cool. And he drums and he does all of that stuff. I think you should produce an album with cigars and go for it. Like, you know what I mean? Some nice freaking Cuban music. People would eat that up like Eminem stuff. Yeah. Either the rapper or the candy, either one, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like people would eat that stuff, but that's exposing who you are. And when you guys do a trade show and you guys are ready, then you'll be ready. And
Yes.
it's just great answers. Anything else you want to add before we do a wrap up around of everyone?
No, I mean, we've done this has been a great interview, and I mean, I think your audience gained some insight to us. To your point, you can order from our website www.emperors-cut.com. We got 2 series up there. The Nicaraguan, which is the one that kind of put us on the map, is there, and we still have plenty of inventory. The beautiful thing about what you were sort of alluding to is that, we've done a good job with supply chain management, and even during COVID and even with some of the restrictions that have taken place down in Nicaragua and in the Dominican Republic around COVID, we've planned our business out in a manner that not unless, there's just this onslaught of orders, we have the capacity to handle orders because we have the supply. So just want to let your audience know that if they're interested in giving us a try, go to our website. Our process is fairly seamless, and it's fast, and it's transparent.
Awesome. Daryl, you're on.
Well, if you're ever down in the Florida market, definitely look me up. I'll take you out to all the cigar lounges that we do support. And we look forward to joining your next interview, and hopefully we get all the team on.
Are you down there at Havana Republic?
No, we're in Cuban Crafters,
Yep.
Top Shelf Cigar Lounge, Cigar Brothers, and Juan Carlos Cigars in the Coconut Grove area.
Okay. You go down to Havana Republic on Los Alas Boulevard.
Oh, yes.
You tell him that you are on Joe's Stogie Geek show. He'll treat you like a king.
I will
Like
be
an
there.
emperor.
And oh yeah, no pun intended. I should have said emperor. I should have said emperor.
said emperor.
I should have.
That's
Damn
right.
it. That's the story of my life, Craig. I don't know. Right. No, you go down there. If you go down there during the day, opens up. You tell him he's been on you tell him that you've been on the show. He's been on the show. Definitely give him a stick and try it out. Super
I will
cool.
definitely do that.
It's the Havana Republic. Super cool guys. Awesome.
Got it.
Jeff, thank you for introducing us to these 2 fine gentlemen.
You're most welcome. Hey, I have one last
Thank
question.
you, Jeff.
Oh, we have another question. Go for it, Jeff.
When I get my hands on a Jazz Miles, what are your recommendations for pairing as I sit out here in my cabin? What should I
do you
have in
think?
my other hand?
Well,
Go ahead, D.
my pairing would be Uncle Nearest, and I drink it with one cube of ice and 1 cinnamon stick centered in the glass. Sip on that with the Toro. Put a bullet cut on it, and you'll enjoy it for a couple hours.
Cool. Thank you.
There you go. Nelson, anything else you want to add in?
No, I just want to thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Like I said, this was great for me. Selfishly, I love being on the show because I get introduced to new cigars. Got introduced to Emperor's Cut. Like I said, loved the Toro, smoked it. The sexiest name ever, Natural Pleasure.
Natural Pleasure.
Oh, yeah. Johnny, I hope you capture that. That's fantastic. But no, sincerely, thank you. I'm going to be ordering the Jazz myself. Absolutely going to be trying it. This is if it's as good as this Natural Pleasure, I can't wait to smoke it.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Greg and Daryl, please don't be a stranger. You've already added me to the press release notes, so we will keep our listeners posted as to any of the press releases that you have out. Thank you for being on Stogie Geeks, and we wish you much success there in the future. And I cannot wait to hear more from emperors-cut.com cigars. So Stogie Geeks, check them out. You go to stogiegeeks.com/342, and all of the show notes are there. And check them out. Sign up for the newsletter. Gentlemen, thank you for being on Stogie Geeks. We'll see you next time. Stogie Geeks, when we come back, we have some cigar news and some of the sticks that we've been smoking. We'll be right back.
Confidence. Confidence isn't walking into a room with your nose in the air, thinking you're better than anyone else. It's walking into a room and not having to compare yourself to anyone in the first place.
Welcome to the big show. Stogie Geeks, episode 342. Apparently, Stogie Geeks 341 ruffled a little bit of feathers in the industry. Maybe. And just, Stogie Geeks, you need to go to StogieGeeks.com/341 and check out the Sticks of the Week review. Email all of your complaints because they've been filing in. They bypassed Drew. They sent a certified letter, and they came right to Joe H. at StogieGeeks.com.
True story.
For all of their complaints. So this week, it's a Stogie Geeks exclusive. We get to talk about, file all your complaints to Joe H. at StogieGeeks.com this week. After that, we'll go back to Drew and Nelson. I will answer all of them in turn and in order as my inbox has been blowing up, as I've been ruffling some feathers and pissing off people. That's good. I've been doing it since 1975.
Yes, sir.
According to Mama Bear, right? But anyway, this is the section where I know a ton of the industry is panning in on this one, so we might let them wait and let them watch through the whole thing, maybe, or I might stick it in between. I don't know. But however, this is the Stogie Geeks Sticks of the Week, a.k.a. Nelson's News Buzz, and we are going to let you know what we've been smoking, who Joe has been pissing off, and Nelson's got some news for us. So,
what a build-up.
Do you want to go rocks, paper, scissors first, or what? What do you want to do?
It's your show, man.
It ain't my show.
It's your show.
It ain't my show. It is not. This is Stogie Geeks. This show.
I believe you said I was the bus monitor.
I'm the bus monitor. You're the bus monitor.
You said
Johnny's
I was the bus monitor.
Yeah,
listen.
You're the bus monitor. Johnny's driving the bus. I'm the kid in the back seat, with the switchblade.
Yeah, you're sitting the way back. Right, you're starting the trouble.
I'm starting the trouble, and I don't know. This show, like all of the shows here at G Unit Studios, they are not anyone's show. They are for the listeners. And one of the things that I've taken a page out of Paul Asadorian's book is that when something comes up and it doesn't feel right, you say something, and that's it. And so that's all I have to say about
truth.
Some of that. Drew, you want to go first? Go for it. What have you been smoking? Or do you want to not talk about smoking?
I was saying that it's going to be Drew, then Joe, and then Nelson, because alphabetical order.
There you go. Okay, so A, B, C,
Problem
D.
solved.
Drew, go for it.
Done. I had that while you two were just trying to figure that out. Rocks, paper, scissors.
I know. I should have said you'd be treated like an emperor.
Drew's like, shut the hell up. I already have this figured out.
Hey, come on, man.
I said this probably
okay.
this show, this segment might beat Mike Bellidy's ass pressed episode, as this will be the most anticipated show of Stogie Geeks. Just set an expectation. It could beat the Mike Bellady ass press numbers. If you don't know about that, Stogie Geeks, email me. I'll find it. I'll send you a link. Joe H. StogieGeeks.com.
We gotta get that episode number,
dude. Obviously, it is what it is. Mike sat on a cigar, couldn't find it on the set, and he sat on it. But anyway, good times. Go ahead, Drew.
All right, archetype pupil.
Ooh,
have you had?
Yes.
Oh,
recently just got into them, but
all right,
go for it.
There we go. So you're gonna be okay. Factory Fábrica de Tabacos La Joya de Nicaragua in South America. For those of you who did not understand that, 6x52 Toro, wrappers Ecuador, Connecticut, binder Nicaraguan, filler Nicaraguan, and this cigar left me at odds with it. Only because it's really, really light for me. Body on this one would be more on the medium, if anything. But taste notes, man, on this one here, it's just really, I got a lot of the pine like a piney wood, if that makes sense. Kind of a sourdough, and then from there it just started to transition into mild spice, creamy almond, and then backed up a little bit into some pepper, and then just a lot of different flavors. So it did get a little complex for me towards the end. Sweet and dry fruit were there to present themselves in the cigars. So. The Ecuadorian wrapper on this, the Ecuador Connecticut wrapper on this is probably where I was getting a lot of that I don't know factor. But at the same time, the cigar itself just really, really mild spice. That was another thing that was kind of tossing me around a little bit. But Stogie Geeks rated on this one, I gave it a try one. If you're into the lighter side of body stogies, that's definitely going to be your wheelhouse there. But I'm not saying that I won't smoke a light body cigar, because I have, and I've enjoyed a few of them, some from the Perdomo line. But this arch type is, it's something that I think that a lot of people will enjoy. But you just got to try one, and then from there figure out if you think it's going to be a box worthy or a box split, or what do we call that? Mulch, mulch cut. Is that one of our
lawn mulch?
Mulch. There you go.
I've been trying to get into them.
The arch type?
Yeah, for 4 years, right? And I mean, for me, a lot of it is bandwidth of time, right? We have I obviously smoke stogies. Have the opportunity to smoke stogies at work. No complaints there, but like they're not carried. They splashed here in the Northeast. I always try to represent like the Northeast. Like if I go out and get something, it's got to be in a shop that I think is in the Northeast. That I've been to.
Oh, that's a good point. They're not easy to find.
Right. This is it takes a while for me to land the plane. I mean, Paul didn't hire me because I had word economy, right? So I don't have word economy. Let me fly the plane
Joe
for a second.
Zempa, verbal tsunami.
Right. Johnny is the driver, but right now he's taking a break, so he lets me roll. Right, so there we go. Right, so I always try to say okay, like because I want to. I am very passionate about supporting brick and mortar business. Very passionate about it. Okay. And to the point where most of my stogie reviews are not online ventures, okay? But that doesn't mean if I don't seek something out or can't get something for a deal, I'm not going to purchase online. But with them, like 4 years ago, they came out, I think an error as to where they came out. They priced themselves. Here comes the hate email. They priced themselves at $14 Robustos, okay? $14 Robustos. I'm gonna have a Davidoff with a track record, right? Because and this is where the industry gets sanded in their crotch, okay? Because it's like, oh, he doesn't like them. He doesn't like them. He thinks they're too expensive. Maybe he's a freaking blue collar worker. No, it's proven. You have to prove yourself, right? So I had one, and I was like, to me. Everyone I had, and I have a picture of one. If you want me to waste more show time and pull it up, I can. Had one a month ago, right? And I would get the show date for when the picture was there, right?
Yeah.
Johnny would have to walk me through how to do that on my phone, right? But anyway, I do take pictures and I get the show date, right? So the time I smoked it, right? And to me, it was okay. It's a $14 Robusto, and Drew, correct me if I'm wrong. Experience, it's all over the place. Palette wise, it's just all over the place. So for that, it's like a wine, right? Let's step out of our Stogie Geeks role and our responsible media partners role, right? Yeah. Let's step out of that. Let's be real, okay? If we say it's COVID and Drew lives down the street, it's pre-COVID, or Drew comes down and I say, Drew, you gotta try this red wine, right? And this wine is $12. And he's like, okay. And Drew brings his wife, and I got my wife, your wife, everything's cool. And I turn around and I want to be Spacone. And I say, hey, here's the $80 bottle of wine. And you guys tell me, hey, Joe, that 12 bottle, that kind of does a little bit better than this $80 bottle of wine. Right? It happens in the industry. It happens. So when you come out with a $14 Robusto, right, with your other stuff where it's manufactured is more online and lower priced. You're like kind of like, ooh, like is it? It becomes a value to the Stogie Geek listener. Or,
I think we can all agree higher price doesn't mean better cigar. I think we can all agree with that. I've had, and I'm not going to name it, but I've had Davidoffs, and I love Davidoffs. But I've had Davidoffs that I'm like, is this really worth $30?
Sure.
Like, it's good, but is it really $30?
Right. But again, right, that choice is ours as consumers. This is what manufacturers and cigar companies don't get. That choice for us to spend, however we make our money, to spend our consumer dollars is our choice. You don't see Sony crying because someone bought. Give me another TV name. Help me.
I was gonna say,
Hitachi. You don't see.
Wow.
You don't. Thank you. I'm just saying, right? I don't even know what. No, we have. We
don't even know those names.
No, we have an LG TV. I don't know what the hell we have, right? Freaking, but you don't see them. It's this is why this TV is this. This is why this cigar is this. Okay, so then but I'm going back 4 years ago. It takes a while for me to land the plane. So go with me in this, but it does relate to Drew's rating, right? Then they did the cliche, we're going to lower our prices. So now it's a $12 Robusto, right? Okay, great. Wow. Thank you. Right? So you made a mistake the first time, and then you and you want to redo that there. Next thing you know, honestly, and I'm going to say this, it, right? They're in the bargain bin.
Oh, right.
They're in the bargain bin at a thing, and because it's all over the place. So, and by the way, I had a cigar from them. Phenomenal cigar. I'm yet to do my review because now I have to go on a wild goose chase because I bought it, and of course the shop doesn't have it anymore, and of course the rep's not available here in the Northeast anymore, and all of this stuff, and it has nothing to do with COVID, right? It happens in the industry. So now I'm faced with a decision. For me to give an effective Stogie Geek review, I got to get another one to refresh my notes.
Of course.
Then, for me to be responsible behind this microphone, right? And have integrity, quote unquote, right?
Integrity.
So in order for me to have integrity, I gotta find it. Now I gotta buy it online, right? Now I have to go buy it online, figure it out, chase a file. I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So the cigar, you gave it a try one, sure. If a Stogie Geek listener finds it, chances are they're gonna walk in. They could probably talk the freaking cigar shop owner down. Stogie Geeks, go find that company and tell the cigar shop owner that you're going to pay $2 below the price. They're going to take it.
Right on.
Which tells me, wait a minute, there's something wrong with the business model. That's it. Because of street value, consumer value, and that is what relates to Drew's Try One.
Right. Exactly. I mean,
it is what it is. So you gave that one a try one, and by the way, the one I had, it's super cool. I'm not going to spend the time to look it up. I promise I will find that stick and review it within the next 2 Stogie Geeks episodes to continue the conversation for sake of showtime, right? And I that is my commitment. I will absolutely positively do that. Drew, flash me an email Monday morning to remind me. Because after this, Nelson and I have a very bad habit of going out and drinking after this.
Nice.
If my wife's listening, that's not true.
That's not true. We're working.
I like that disclaimer.
Nelson, what have you been smoking?
Wait, I thought you were next. I'm next?
Oh, no, I'm next.
No,
Oh, shit.
Joe's next.
We're going in alphabetical order.
I thought Drew set up the lineup.
Order.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's a good point. Great point. Super cool point. I'm glad someone's keeping
Super
up.
cool.
Super cool. I am going back from last week because Showtime, I didn't get a chance to review my Oliva V Melanio. Remember someone
That's
talked
true.
about,
We never got to it.
You gave the news about the virtual reality hashtag
QR code
from Oliva, and I was like, well, that's weird. I have a Oliva Melanio there, and ironically, Oliva's in the news this week, but Nelson will bring us to that when it's alphabetically turned. I had a Robusto of the Oliva Melanio. It is a 5.5 by 52 Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, binder and filler Nicaraguan. Complexity, flavor, and balance on a scale of 1 to 10. Complexity, I gave it a 7. Flavor and balance, I gave it an 8. It's available in 6 different sizes. I've had 3 of the 6 different sizes. What can I say? It's to me, if you're gonna go Oliva, okay, you go Gilberto Oliva Reserva Blanc, which I gave a super high rating in previous shows. And it's funny because just when you think that Paul might not listen to the show, he bought a box on sight unseen off of my review because I gave it a high rating. And I remember he bought it, didn't tell me. And like I'm making the day up. It's like a Monday or a Tuesday. I know it was in the beginning of the week.
So he bought a box?
Yeah, Paul bought a box, and he goes, Joe, I listen to Story Geeks. You were right with these. These are freaking awesome.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, man, they're like $6. Right? They're super cool, right? So again, that's my first choice for that brand. Second, the Melanio, super cool stick. You will not be disappointed. It got a number 8 in 2016 with Cigar Aficionado. There's no surprise there. You have a little bit of pepper, you have a little bit your toasted notes, but they mellow out, right? Mm-hmm. You got pepper, you got cocoa, coffee, caramel. Okay, great, but it doesn't stay that way throughout the stick. It kind of fades in and out. Yes. And to me, with the Melanio, even though it's not a Baba pole, I would venture to say, and I'm willing to put my integrity on the line. That's the word of the day. Probably the word for
it really is.
Probably the word for probably the word for the next freaking decade here, right? To me, it's the only cigar that smokes like a Baba pole that's not a Baba pole.
So you didn't get multiple flavors?
No, I got caramel. I got caramel, coffee, and a little bit of pepper. A little bit scotch of pepper, as we say here in the Northeast, right? Scotch of pepper. But to me, it fades, then it comes in, then it fades. It's a damn good stick, right? It's a box split, right? And you say, wait a minute, Joe, if it's a damn good split, why is it a box split? Well, box split, I'd smoke 10 of these throughout the year. There's so many other stuff that sometimes gets washed out with us, and with trying new stuff and chasing new stuff or whatever we like there. But yeah, definitely, I'd smoke 10 of these there. And if I didn't keep all my cigars in a backpack and I had a humidor, this would definitely be in my humidor.
Yeah,
there you go. Oh, for the Story Geeks listeners who are listening and not watching, that was the Oliva V Melanio.
My favorite part of this, I love that cigar. I remember when I first had that cigar, and I'll tell you, you're very right. It's quite a transitional cigar, so,
right?
Yeah, it is, and it does it in ways where you're like, I'm every 2 minutes. I come back every 2 minutes to my cigar. So, a lot of woody, a lot of earth components, and like I said, it just. But it does have its strength, so that's
right.
And that's what I really enjoy about the cigar, and the transitionals in this cigar is definitely. Here's my camera. I don't know why I'm talking over here.
I'm all messed up myself.
How many drinks have you had
with this swing thing over here?
Drew's drinking in the office.
Just some tea, but yeah, no, for sure, this cigar it definitely it tantalizes the palate.
It does, and you know what I like. You know what I like about the cigar? Yeah. It doesn't disappoint.
Yeah.
Do you go to the nub?
Oh yeah, with that, and I actually have a Colibri that works, right? Oh, integrity, right? Colibri that works. Story Geeks, tell me I'm wrong, right? A Colibri, you either buy it and it works forever, or it only works for 3 weeks. Anyway, I have a Colibri Deep V, and this is a true story. Because Paul and I got them, we did a Colibri thing, and Paul's broken 3 weeks in there. And when I owned the shop back in the late 90s, Colibri was actually located in Providence at the time. I can't tell you how many people we had there on a Saturday morning to exchange stuff. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. True story, right? True story if we want to be true, right? But, I deep V the torpedo, if that makes sense, right? And it's funny. And I know this might sound a little sexual, but I apologize for anybody who has a grotesque visual. But like, if you take your tongue and put it like there, like you can taste the tobacco components. And I'm being serious, where it's like, wow, this stick to me, it keeps coming back to me. Like
Johnny's gonna have to put a rating on this show.
Like what? No, it keeps. Ask Johnny's responsibility as far as tags. It keeps coming back to me. It's like first of all, the Gilberto Oliva, Reserva Blanc, and this stick from their line of portfolio. And I know from speaking to brick and mortar, Oliva does very well.
Yep.
In shops. Yeah. It's like a Perdomo.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a Perdomo. It's like an AJ Fernandez. It's like obviously I'm being Captain Obvious. It's like a Drew Estate, right? Like you have a shop. It's like an Ashton. You gotta have those are all those brands you have to have in a shop, right? But I don't really go to the Melanio a lot, but there are a lot of times where it just catches me right, and I'm like, I'm gonna smoke one of those.
Yeah.
And so there you go. Okay. A, B, C, J, N. You.
Right. So
go.
Have you ever done an on-the-spot review?
What?
Have you ever done an on-the-spot review? Like, I haven't written anything for this.
What is this? Test Joe? What is this? Test Joe's integrity?
I'm just saying. So I'm going to need your help with this one.
What is
right?
this? Test Joe's? The answer is...
Stay with me.
No, the answer is yes, I have.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do one now. But what I don't have is the specs. So I don't have wrapper, binder, filler. So I'm going to need your help. I think you have it written down, right?
I probably won't, but that's okay.
The
Nelson sounds like he's not prepared. But
no, I am. But I just smoked the Emperor's Cut.
Yes.
Natural. Which one was it? It's the Natural Pleasure. Natural Pleasure, sexiest name in the cigar industry. Natural Pleasure. I don't know what the wrapper, binder, filler is. So if you can look it up while I'm talking, that'd be great.
I'm good.
But I'm doing.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't know what the hell it is. But
I'm gonna do it.
I just smoked this thing during the last segment where we were interviewing the gentlemen, Greg and Daryl from Emperor's Cut. This stick was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal. Like, I had already decided in my head while I was smoking it, I'm buying more of these.
Mm-hmm.
It started with a nice, I don't want to say grass, but I want to say grass. Like, it started with like a grassy sweetness in the beginning. And we're doing the interview, and I'm smoking. I'm like, literally, this is on the fly. I have not written any of this shit down. And I'm smoking. And by the way, great looking cigar. Like, just the wrapper looked amazing. I love the simple band on it. I mean, even the band was like nice. It was just simple, classy, right? Going through it, a little bit of chocolate in the middle, I would say, like milk chocolate in the middle. Very slight. Minimal peppery, but definitely like that earthy hay with sweetness. I can't even put my finger on it. It was just an earthy hay sweetness as I went through it. And then I think Daryl had even said it about the Jazz, but I found it the same thing with the Natural Pleasure. I can't stop saying that name. That's the greatest name ever. With the Natural Pleasure, it was a perfect finish. It turned into more sweetness at the end, where you get a lot of sticks on that last third, where it's, it's a little harsher, like it just is sometimes, right? And,
that was the aromatic spice you were.
The aromatic spice. I couldn't have said it better. Thank you, Drew.
Chicks dig aromatic spice
and Natural Pleasure. I'm telling you, the show is so R-rated today. I don't know what the hell.
Johnny would take care of it. It's okay.
I don't know. Wait till you see my review of the EP Carrero pledge.
Wait till I stop talking.
Anyway. Oh, Maron. But this stick, box worthy all day. Literally, I'm going to leave here. I'm going to go on my phone, and I'm going to order that crap online. I'm going to go on their site and order a box. No question. That was a great stick.
Well, I understand. Not putting this in this category. I actually did two, to answer your question. I did two sight unseen. Was that how you pronounce it? Sight unseen?
Well, it wasn't sight unseen because I smoked it.
Well, how did you word it?
On the spot.
On the spot. I did two in the history since January 2nd, 2017. I did two on the spot reviews.
Was an opus?
One went one went very well.
I thought it was an opus.
No, and one maybe was it? Then I
swear you and Paul, when you guys got back.
Oh yeah, you are correct.
History Channel Drew. I like that.
Drew, thank you for keeping my integrity in check.
Word of the day.
Integrity.
because
For sure.
because I did 3 then. You're right, because see, I forget about the Paul episodes because like he's like a mirage. You know what I mean? Right? But no, I did do the open sex that Paul got sight unseen when we went to Casa Fuente. This was back in August of 2019. And there, yes, I agree. First one was that I had, and I was like, oh my god, and don't give the name because you were exposed to it today. We were there for the release of what I showed you today next door.
Oh,
okay.
yes.
Right there. That was like, and that's been, well, let's say 3 years, right? And my staple is the same. The second one, I just like, oh my god, I just interviewed the person. I'm like, oh my god, I spent the time and I talked about it.
Yeah.
And then I ordered them, and I'm like, ew. So, not saying that that's the case because I've had a bunch of their sticks too. That's why you only got one and Drew got none because they're gone, right? And, talking about the Emperor's
That's okay.
Cup, right?
Darnell said, just send me your info and I'll get you taken care of.
Nice. See, but you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy for Gustavo. Not our Gustavo who works here. Our Stogie Geeks Gustavo, who always razzes me about Drew sticks. Nelson and Daryl will probably get sticks before I send Drew his care package from when he started.
Nelson has already exceeded you in that stick delivery. I mean, I got mine in 3 days. I didn't even ask for anything.
I know.
It's true. How do you like those
He was
Lanceros?
awesome. Oh my god! If it wasn't for my allergies, I would be smoking them already.
Oh, you didn't smoke
But I'm
any
waiting.
yet.
He's waiting.
No,
That's why
my
he's-
allergies are killing me.
All right.
So
Anyway, Nelson, you have some news. Let's
I
get
do
some
have news.
going.
So, unconfirmed.
Wait a minute. We need an official disclaimer. The views expressed in this show are not Stogie Geeks management and or its positions. There you go.
True. Or mine.
That's how I got away with it for 3 years. Go ahead.
Unconfirmed, right? Unconfirmed. Famous Smoke may be purchased by Oliva Cigars. So there were 2 articles I found in doing my research this week that Famous Smoke may be up for sale. Famous Smoke is currently the largest independently owned online retailer. And I stress independently owned before anyone starts emailing the show and saying they're not the biggest, whatever. They're the largest independently owned. And there are rumors out there that there's some corporate moves going on that Oliva may be purchasing Famous Smoke. So we'll keep an eye on this. Joe's kind of tasked me with the new crap, so I'm going to be staying on top of it, trying to get you more information on that.
What do you think, Drew?
Well, let's see.
Famous Smoke, pretty big retailer.
Yeah, pretty big retailer. So, yeah, I mean that seems to have some fuel. I just texted a few people right now in the in-house track and just to see what their thoughts on those. But yeah, it sounds like it'd be plausible for sure. I mean,
yeah,
I believe they've had a partnership already ongoing, on the online business form. So, yeah, I can see that. It's not a bad move.
I can see if this happens, starting a trend in the industry.
Yeah,
and don't be surprised.
You mean with brands buying?
With brands buying online retailers and online retailers becoming mega, super crazy.
Yeah,
brick and mortar stores. It happens in other industries, right? It happens in other industries. So again, if this happens and it happens successfully, I think it's going to start a trend. Okay, kind of like stocks in the stock market right now, right? Stocks were just before an election. So if we go back to 1950s, I don't care what color you are, Democrat or Republican. I'm not talking about race, right? For those of you who are not watching and just listening, right? I don't care which side you're on, independent, whatever it is, okay? Just before an election, historically, stocks are low. Now is the time to buy, do a little shopping, do what you have to do. Also, before a election, acquisitions are high, okay?
True.
Across the board. I mean, if you look at cybersecurity industry, acquisitions all around. If you look at non-cybersecurity and you want to go around special acquisitions companies, right? SPACs, as they're called, okay? They become publicly traded in order for the purpose to set leverage and financials to acquire another company for a specific purpose. That is like talk of the town. Now, how talk of the town? Well, let's talk a little numbers. Last year, $19 billion were equated to that. This year, and the year's not over, and there's 40, which probably means 20 realistically that'll get launched, that are left on the SPAC acquisition list. Okay, it's already at $41 billion. So in other words, it's double, right? Rough numbers, but it's double. Okay, double the activity than what it was last year to this year, and that's what happens. Now, why does this make sense when it comes to the cigar industry?
Yeah.
Right? It's very simple, right? Brick and mortars, if they're not going to do the jobs for the consumers, then the bigger corporations will try to get in on that action. And those are their words, not mine.
Right.
Right? Because if it wasn't their words, CI wouldn't build megastores going around that your brick and mortars you can lie in, lounge and go hang out and smoke sticks. If that wasn't the case, growing up as a kid, every time we would drive to Hilton Head, right, piling in a car, 18-hour drive, we'd always stop at JR's. My father would get cigars, the family would get cigars. As I got older, obviously I got cigars, and we go to JR, and it became a destination place, right? Yeah. Now JR's changed and got rid of some of the retail stuff, non-cigars, etc. But so I think a lot of consolidation is going to happen. But if this is successfully going to happen, I wouldn't be surprised if other cigar companies do that. They already have the relationship there. Like if they sell enough and they have the relationship there, it makes sense for a business move.
Yeah, if you look globally, I think you're spot on. I think when you start looking into 2021, I think it's a little less now, but I think as you look into 2021, maybe we start coming out of COVID, mergers and acquisitions are going to increase, right? Because there are some companies survived, some companies didn't. I mean, that's just the way it is. And I think, when you look at that subset of the cigar industry, you're going to see the same concept. Some are going to survive, some are not. Mm-hmm. And the ones that aren't surviving are going to get gobbled up by someone else. Yep. I think you're spot on.
Yep. You're gonna see a lot of consolidation. And I mean, let's face it, at the end of the day, consumers, it's amazing how many emails I get that, and I don't know if you've gotten any, Drew, of that, like, I get emails from Still Geek listeners that says you spend so much time talking about like the brick and mortar, and like I don't care about that stuff. I just like listening to your show, or I just like Cigar X Y Z. You know what I mean? And it was like, yeah. Or I really like the stick reviews because I want to know what's new and out there to shopping, because I don't go to brick and mortar. So if I give a review and it's a high rating, I've had Still Geeks buy stuff sight unseen. They just buy it because they're like, if Joe gave a good rating, then freaking there you go. And I'm like, well, thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for supporting the show. Appreciate that. Let me know how you think about that. And we could possibly round up some Still Geeks listeners to come on the show, 15-minute segments, and tell us about some of the sticks. Matter of fact, Stogie Geeks.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, Stogie Geeks. Email me, joeh@stogiegeeks.com. If you purchased a stick that either myself, Drew, a former host, has said that you had never smoked before, or Nelson, that you have never smoked before, and you want to come on the show, we'll give you 15 minutes to find out if that's true. Because I think it's to be a super cool segment.
Yeah, we'd love to hear that.
Yeah, definitely. So joeh@stogiegeeks.com, we'll arrange it. We have a whole automated process, and then there you go. So yeah, I think it's cool because it proves a point, right? Or Stogie Geeks, if you do not have a brick and mortar near you, and we want to hear about how you purchase online and what you use to get new sticks, same thing. We can, depending on who we get, we can do 2 separate shows or 1 giant show for that. I think that's a super cool idea, and I just came up with it on the fly. So there you go.
Fantastic.
I'm going for it. But yeah, and so if Oliva does this, it's gonna be it's gonna set a trend. See, and that's one of the things. There's probably Drew and Nelson, 5 companies that are really trendsetters in the industry, maybe 10.
Like in the industry,
like who's
not
a trend,
retail brand, but in the industry.
Let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. We like to have honest conversation here on Stogie Geeks. Okay, let's be honest. Like, who's a trendsetter in the industry?
Drew Estate,
Drew Estate, right? That's
Arturo Fuente.
Well, sure. Arturo, they're more sought after, right? Trendsetters. The boutiques try to become trendsetters and do what they got to do, and some of them have great followers and they have super cool sticks, and we all enjoy them. But again, it's an activity that leads to that. If a cigar company was able to purchase a bigger online retailer, that's going to be trend setting.
It's huge.
And imitation is the greatest form of flattery in any business. And if it happens, that's cool. But interesting that that's the company that would do it.
When that happens, though, and literally, I'm just thinking of this. This is the first reaction I have. Is there corporate nepotism that takes place? I mean, what happens when brand A buys online retailer B, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's a bias there, right? They're going to promote their shit.
Sure. But what if...
Is that really good for the consumer? I'm wondering. Is that good for the consumer?
What if Brand A does enough business with the company, Brand B, that they're going to acquire, that it makes fiscal sense to join forces and then lay out a brick and mortar outlay and make it a mega destination lounge? I mean, you can't be naive, which some of the industry is sometimes, right? And think that this isn't going to happen.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's about purchasing power. It's about purchasing power for us as Stogie Geeks, not us 3, but people who consume cigars.
Consumers, yeah.
The purchasing power, and they want to go after that pie in the sky of how many millions of dollars get spent within the industry. So why not capture it, right? And so you can't blame them for trying to move forward, and you keep us abreast of that story. You're in charge of that.
I'm going to stay on top of it.
That's your new thing. Keep us abreast of that story, because I don't want to get into the habit of starting rumors about the industry, but
I got something to add to that.
Okay, I don't want to get in the habit to start rumors, but there are some good sources that it could be Oliva. And, and
we started unconfirmed. This is all unconfirmed.
No, I know, but I don't want to be I don't want to be that. I don't want to. I just think that if they do, they're going to set a trend. Drew, add something.
Well, it's already out there. I mean, it is already out there. So there's history to this. So, and right now, just chatting with my guy right now on my phone, and definitely there's definitely history to this. So Meyer is involved in this as well. So, and Meyer used to be, he did build Cigars International. Mm-hmm. And so he built that, sold that to Swedish Fish or Swedish Match. And then was bought by Scandinavian Tobacco.
Tobacco, yep.
Group.
Tobacco, yep. I'm so used to having a microphone on me.
Right?
So if there's any truth in that, and Meyer is behind that, then I can't even fathom that it would not happen. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's actually kind of exciting, because it's more than it is, if it's going to be bias or anything like that. So it's kind of exciting, because then you get a bunch of people from both sides of the world, from the tobacco manufacturer and the digital market, and you bring them together, and just all kinds of neat ideas that can just come up with it, come up and just really advance, the cigar industry in sales. I mean, and during this time with all the things that are going on, I would say that it is the perfect time to start to look down those avenues for the next decade.
Yeah. because it's all, at the end of the day, it's all about getting the market share. That's what we're all fighting for.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nelson, you give us another piece of news.
Sure.
Nelson will keep us abreast.
Well, I wanted to do a follow-up. So I talked about the Trump reinstating the Cuban ban the last week, and at the end I did mention there was some scuttlebutt around and rumors around potentially Nicaragua might be on that list of bans as well for tobacco, liquor, etc. So there is no evidence of that right now. There are financial sanctions going on against Nicaragua and the Nicaraguan president, Daniel Ortega. And as of right now, though, there's no plans for any bans on tobacco or anything like that. So it's just financial sanctions. So I did want to give that update on that.
I appreciate that. I don't think they're gonna do anything. It's all about the tax, right? It's all about the dollars and all about the tax.
Oh yeah.
And I've been saying this for 5 years now. If you combine Cigar Club Radio along with Stogie Geeks, if you take a piece of the pie and you make a pie chart, every year Nicaraguan tobacco is creeping up and getting more and more of that market share. They're not gonna, because they're getting tax dollars. They're getting tax dollars. So I think that
can you imagine if they did a ban on Nicaragua? I mean, how much loss would there be in tax dollars?
I don't want to spend too much time to speculate, but
no, but your point is valid.
Here's the deal, right? If that happens, this is the only time I'm gonna be quick, right? If that happens, okay, 74% of every brick and mortar humidor goes away, okay, which would be ridiculous. And then if that happens, it'll be like if and I don't want to spread rumors. There's no rumors in here, but it concerns me, right? If Amazon ever gets into the game, set match.
Oh yeah, if they ever sell tobacco,
because there was a
absolutely.
time when you couldn't buy butane on Amazon, and you couldn't buy humidors on Amazon, or you couldn't buy those balls you like to sprinkle in your humidor.
The gel balls.
I'm being Joe from last week. I'm being Joe from last week. The Belvita.
Yeah, I remember you, Dustin. Yeah.
And now you can't. And that to me, when I get an email, Amazon and Kings, hey, we noticed you like cigars. Why don't you look at this? Why don't you look at that? Why don't you look at this? And when I get an email, I'm like, that never happened before. To me as a consumer, not me, Joe Stogie Geeks. I'm like, and my first thought was, they ever get into the game? That's frightening.
Oh yeah,
frightening.
It's game
but
over.
I don't want to spread rumors. So
game over.
We're done.
Paying attention to.
All right.
Paying attention to your analytics.
Cool. All right, Drew, you have a stick because we're gonna go in alphabetical order. So A, B, C,
Sure.
D. That's you.
That's right. Jesus. Oh my goodness. Okay, Juarez. I've talked about Crown Heads prior, and I still love John Huber and his profiles, what he has to offer, and I still haven't gone through everything. But Juarez, Jack Brown by Crown Heads, Robusto Gordo, 5x56. I'm sorry, I'm about to cough, but I just stopped it.
Thank you.
Wrapper is Mexican San Andreas. Binder Ecuador Sumatra, and the fillers Dominican Republic and Nicaragua. So tobaccos, and I'll tell you, just another. I mean, I love this cigar, and it's a cigar that doesn't break the bank, and it's friendly enough for a box worthy purchase, and that's what the rating is going to be on this one. The taste notes on this one, you're going to definitely get a nice punch of cocoa right off the bat. As you light and you start to take the first couple of draws, you're definitely going to enjoy that, and then you start to get into the creaminess of that cocoa, kind of like the how you get to the bottom when you drink cocoa and you get that real sweet creamy stuff at the bottom. That, like, I always like to swirl it around in my cup and then just kind of take it down.
I got a little too excited about that.
Oh man, I'm telling you, man. It's the kid in me comes out when I get to do that, and then it does break into a little bit of a floral note as you start to transition a little bit, and then from there it just really gets busy. I mean, the coffee comes in, toasty nuttiness comes in, so you get a lot of the meaty, meat and potatoes of this stick. Black pepper on the retro. but not too, and it's not too coarse on that either. It's just really nice and transitional, but it definitely lets you know that he's got some black pepper in there for sure, or it's got that black pepper note. Excuse me. Oaky does get a little oaky. Again, it gets a little meaty and a little chunky there, and then it tethers off into the earthiness of what you would expect from John Huber. The Mexican San Andreas wrapper on this definitely like a Maduro color. So if you see this in your humidor, in your brick and mortar humidor, you're definitely on the right path. It's about a between $7 and $9 steak, depending on where you're at in the United States. So like I said, it's definitely friendly on the bank. I'd box order these all day long, just because they're very you can pass them out to your friends, people around you, and they're gonna think that you're the king of the hill, because they're gonna enjoy the smoke. Beginners or even the aficionados out there, and like I said, you just can't go wrong with these cigars. So find them, ask for them, get them, and then email me and tell me that my integrity is definitely spot on.
Integrity. Drew, I never had them. I'm gonna go try to find some.
Sure.
Here in the Northeast, they're few and far between, so I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, I've never seen them here.
I've seen them here. A couple years ago, they were pretty hot and heavy in the Northeast, and then just kind of recapped and whatnot. But yeah, I was all into the Crown Heads.
Oh yeah, Crown Heads. Like I said, it's one of my favorite go-to cigars. I just restocked on a few of their other lines. If you ever had a Tennessee Waltz, and then you like that really punch in the face, I mean, to me, that's a nice, heavy body cigar, and it just really gets you where you want to go with that cigar.
Crown Heads, super cool company. Hats off to their underground trendsetters. And what I mean by that is when they come up with a piece of swag, they make 175 of it, and that's it, the swag. And then you go through and they do the thing, and they have a whole culture thing, and I have a hat. And
do they under promote it, you would say?
Yeah, no, they're just honestly, they're one of those companies. They just do their thing.
Yeah,
they do their thing.
They don't worry about anybody else.
They don't worry about anybody else.
Right.
They're in brick and mortars. They do their thing. They're in brick and mortars more in the hot spots, right? The Northeast. Right. I honestly think that some of the local shops, from my experience, didn't do. You got to go into the shop, and then the shop workers have to really educate the consumer to consider to try that, and that's been something that's been a little bit fledgling in some shops. Yep. So that's
and John.
Yep, go ahead, Drew.
No, I was going to say, and John's a fabulous person. I mean, I have not met him personally, but I've talked to other people in the industry that have come across John Huber, and I mean, he doesn't need to have a whole army to describe him. He is who he is.
I actually did an interview. We had a story. I think it was before your time.
It was, yes.
Yeah, it was before your time. I did an interview. If you need the episode, you can go to storygeeks.com, type in Crown Heads, type in John. It's Huber, right? H-U.
Yeah, Huber.
Yeah. You type it in.
H-U-B-E-R.
Yeah. You type it in, and I think there's a T at the end of it, if I'm not mistaken. But I can find the episode. And again, they just do their thing, man. Like they do their thing, and I've been on like a freaking Jericho Hill.
Oh yeah, Jericho Hill.
Yeah, with them and whatnot. We have a box over there in the humidor. Again, super cool sticks, super cool ratings, Crown Heads. I'm a fan, like a fan of the brand. Fanboy? I don't know. I have a hat.
You don't turn it away though.
No, because they're trendsetters, and like you can get into the underground thing and collect some of the swag. And honestly, I follow them on Twitter. To me, they come out like this is what I miss about the industry, right? They come out with some super cool swag. Like they don't just give you a freaking Schmedium T-shirt that has the freaking logo on it. Like, they have super. And by the way, I have like the Crown Heads 4 Kicks hat. I have like 3 or 4 hats from them. I'm a hat guy. and I just and I love the fact that like they make 175 and then they move on and they make another one, and so the store's always changing, the swag's always changing. There's an underground movement for the people who support them. They don't make anything that sucks. Like I've never had a crown head that actually that I'm like
that you didn't like, right?
that I didn't like, and they just do their own thing, man. And now, Drew, I have to go on a mission to get one of these. So
yeah, well, I'll do my due diligence and send John an email, and and like you said, one of our listeners was just saying, his stuff is definitely and I share this. It's his cigars are for the discriminating cigar smoker. I mean, you really, those guys that are out there, they're just really honed in on his sticks. So they don't last. I mean, they move off the shelf. They don't take a lot of shelf space. And most brick and mortars here in Texas, they carry at least 4 or 5 profiles, and they just keep restocking those because people just love them. So
yeah.
My hat's off to you, John.
But I
don't have a hat.
But they need to work. They need to be worked more by retail employees, and they're just not.
Sure.
That's all. At least
we were talking about that last week, right?
At least my take care of the Northeast. But anyway.
Man, you guys got some people up there in the Northeast are not doing their job. Because here in Texas, man, I'll tell you, everybody loves. Well, you know what it is? It's Texas. Everybody loves coming to Texas.
Yeah.
So
no, honestly, I think it's a management thing. And
Joe's right. The staff, they're the salespeople, right? They're the salespeople in these retail shops, no question. And I mean, I've been in shops where someone came in and said, "Hey, I don't know what I want." Right? They would say, "Oh, I like a medium cigar, or I like a light cigar," and I've literally seen the staff member have no clue.
Yeah.
What direction to go in.
Here's the crux of the problem. The business problem with that. The Rhode Island smoking laws has changed. And so now, they're nothing more than bars you can smoke in.
But I'm going to be totally trusted. That's not just Rhode Island, right? I live in Mass, and I've seen that in Mass. Pre-COVID, right?
Yeah.
In Mass right now, and people in Massachusetts know this, there's no smoking in any cigar lounges at all.
Mm-hmm.
But pre-COVID, I've seen that experience that I just witnessed, that I just stated, that the staff had no clue what to direct people onto.
Right. That's a reflection.
Those are the people, right? Those are your marketers. Those are your salespeople.
That's a reflection on the brick and mortar owner, not the cigar company.
Oh, no, I totally agree.
What I mean?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
But it's amazing how the cigar shop owner will accept mediocrity, and he or she will be the first to complain about lack of sales. Just saying.
Right, when they control it.
Just saying.
Right.
I have a stick here, which it's amazing how things come together on the show.
You say this every week.
No, I do because it fascinates me, right? I chose the Falto Mentor, okay?
Oh.
By Louis Falto. It's a Toro. It's available in one size. One of the things that make Louis Falto stuff unique is that each size is one size, and that's it. There's no, the different size for different sticks and whatnot. So this is a 5 by 75 by 54. Wrapper is Ecuador. Binder is Sumatra, Brazil, with some Cameroon in it. Filler is Dominican, Brazil, and Nicaragua. It's available in that one size. It's available in boxes of 20. The Falto Mentor was blended in honor of the man who taught Louis Falto everything, quote unquote, he knows about tobacco.
Oh, yeah.
Manuel Anoa.
Did you say 5 by 75?
No, 5.75 by 54.
Oh, 5.75.
I probably did. We were drinking this deer horn.
I was going to say, you need a clamp with that? Jesus Christ. All right.
I feel like I need a freaking rifle and, Anyway, but yeah, it was from Manuel Anoa. We were just talking about that in the previous segment there. But yeah, this is a complex, carries great balance between full and complex with subtle notes of nuts and coffee. And by the way, you will not be disappointed. I gave it a box split. Check them out. Story Geeks, if you need Falto, Havana Cigar Club, give them a call. Tell them you listen to Story Geeks. They'll give you a discount. They'll ship it to you. So away you go.
Nice.
Check them out. Yeah, definitely. I'm such a fan, and we interviewed Louis Falto 3 times. I think off the top of my head, I know of at least 2. One of them was with me, and it's amazing how the first interview he's very short worded, Louis Falto, right? And when he was there, like we had Todd, the cigar shop owner next door, saying like, "Yo, you gotta wrap up the show. He's got a plane to catch," because he just talked with me forever, which maybe it's my integrity that he liked. I don't know. But he also likes to play dominoes.
Integrity.
Yes.
Oh, dominoes.
He also likes to play dominoes, which if you catch him hanging out of Havana, he'll play dominoes for like 8 hours straight, which is super cool.
Hell yeah. Well,
I play dominoes with him, and I have my computer up because I'm trying to work at the same time.
I have a nice tie-in to a news blurb, but and I hope Joe doesn't roll his eyes on this, but I am a huge Steve Saka fan. Huge.
Oh, yes.
Why would I roll my eyes? Steve,
I'm a
I don't
big
know.
fan of
I
Steve
don't know.
Saka.
I
What
don't know.
the
I
fuck?
thought you were gonna judge me.
I'm not judging you.
I don't know.
Dude,
I don't know.
Steve Saka's the man, dude.
Right? Dunbarton
Squatch.
Tobacco.
Again,
Hey.
someone
Saka Swatch.
I have a Squatch. You have a Squatch?
Saka Swatch. Oh, yeah.
I got a Saka.
someone who's internally centered is Mr. Saka.
Oh.
He does his own thing.
100%.
I love.
He does not give a shit.
In case you haven't noticed the theme, I love brands that are internally centered.
Yes.
I am me. It's kind of like me, right? Like me.
It really
like
is.
me. I am me. This is what I represent. Me. Okay.
Right.
And I don't try to be like Drew. Drew doesn't try to be like me. This show was founded by Paul Azadorian. I don't try to be like Paul. I don't try to be like you. You don't try to be. I'm me. And I have much respect for people. Has nothing to do with Story Geeks or what's reflected on the show. I have much respect for people who are proud to be you.
Damn right.
And I have phenomenal respect for companies. Because you got to remember, what I do for a living outside of Security Weekly is we help companies grow. Okay? It's what I do. Okay?
Yeah.
And the companies, the business owner that argues with me or disagree or anything like that, they're struggling businesses. The ones that say, you know, Joe, this is your bag. Go for it. They're doing well.
Right.
They're doing well. And by the way, QuickBooks will tell me I could boot up my QuickBooks and share my screen. Here's my invoices. Here's my thing. Here's my integrity on the line, and they're doing well. But they're you because they let me be me because they understand that maybe Joe knows a little bit more about this section of the business, but let him run with it and then do it.
Right.
And then in my business profile, outside of here, I teach them how to do it. And I have some that was supposed to be taught 2 years ago, right? And they still pay me my monthly fee because they let me be me. And they do that there. And by the way, it's not like I hog tie them. That I try to teach them the different formalities, how to do stuff, whatever. Because that's my business model. I'd love to help a business start. Like if Story Geeks, if you ever wanted to like start a brick and mortar, consider opening a cigar shop and you don't know where to start, email joe@storygeeks.com. We'll jump on the phone. I'll tell you what you got to
Joe's accessible.
what you got to do.
It is.
Where you got to go. I'm more accessible on Zoom.com because
Just
of the
be ready
computer.
for 2 hours.
Yeah,
Just to have
that's
minimum,
true. Yeah,
minimum
I
of
know,
2 hours.
I know. I don't have word economy. I'm sorry,
2 hours.
but no, because we could go as far as like, well, what do I need for budget? I don't know how much this would cost. What would we do? Where can we go? What can we do? I would do that. And by the way, I would say, okay, you need to go online. And if you wanted to do online, we can do online for you. If you don't want to do online and you don't want to do that there, you're going to struggle.
Right.
You're going to struggle. Because at the end of the day, it's called search engine optimization. When they type in the stick, you better play in that in that arena. And by the way, you can outbeat CI and JR or Famous. Because if you don't believe me, Cigar Authority, Dave Garofalo, wrote a whole book on it. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is, yo, go to Amazon and buy his book. If you want to open a brick and mortar, buy his book. That's how you compete. It's called David and Goliath. His name's David, right? Makes sense. And you know something?
Very informative.
What?
His book is very informative.
It's very informative, right? That's the first thing I'm going to tell you. Read this book, come up with a budget, see what you have. Because some people say, well, I don't know. It costs millions of dollars on a cigar shop. No, it doesn't. It depends on what you want to do and where you want to go.
Right,
so
exactly.
If anybody out there is on the fence about that, doesn't know where to go, we can point you in the
Start
right
small
direction.
and get to big. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I love people who like to be them and are proud to be them. And that's why I'm a fan of who I'm a fan with. And others kick and scratch and cry and do what they got to do.
I have
Unless
no
you
idea
can
how we
read
got
that.
from my review to that, but all right.
Oh, give me your review. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hey,
No, it
there
made
is
sense.
one-
'cause
you
we
know
were
how we
talking
got
about
there?
Steve.
You know how we got there? Delmore.
Yeah, it's you know what?
Oh,
This is
Delmore.
all his fault. It's Delmore
It's those
12.
damn antler horns anyway. Go on.
Delmore 12. I don't know what the hell's happening.
I feel like I need to be wearing camo
3:30
pants.
Eastern Standard Time. I
With a
don't know
shotgun or
what the hell's going on anymore.
All right, go on.
Sober Mesa Brulee.
Oh yeah, that's right, Steve
Double
Saka. He
base
does his own
socks.
thing.
Look, he just remembered. He just came back to the show.
No, because you know how it was. Because you think I was gonna roll my eyes about Steve Saka, dude. Steve Saka's the man, dude. Dude, they built a whole foundation of freaking Drew off of his
It all
freaking
comes
work.
full circle. All full circle. Sober Mesa Brulee. I had the 6x52 Toro. I'm telling you in advance. I'm a huge Dunbarton. I mean everything. There's not one Dunbarton tobacco stick that I've had that I didn't like. There just isn't.
I agree.
Not one. There's not one. In fact, one of my bucket list items, and this is so cheesy and geeky, which is why I love being on Stogie Geeks, was to get Steve Saka to recognize anything I did on social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and he liked one of my Facebook posts that I did on the Saka Squatch. And I'm like, all right, I'm done. This is good. Mic drop. I'm good.
Stogie Geek.
I'm totally Stogie. I was like stoked. I'm like, Steve Saka liked my shit. This is great. So I had the Sober Mesa Brulee. Love the Sober Mesa. Love the Brulee. Love the Brulee Blue, which I'll also recommend to people. But this review is on the Brulee. Awesome looking stick. It's got like a royal band on it. The wrapper is like, it's got tight veins. It's very smooth looking. You get like a nice. It's funny. It tricks you. It's got an earthy aroma if you just you give it a whiff. But the second you smoke that sucker, and Joe, have you had one?
Yes,
The
sir.
Brulee.
Yes, sir.
The second I smoked the Brulee, glazed donut. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Glazed donut. Right.
Well, it's amazing. Amazing.
Right. And this is going to go into it if we get to it. One of the news pieces I have,
That
but
depends on Johnny how much time we have. He
yeah,
boxed my ear.
we've been going a while now. But and I will mention it here, I guess, then because it makes sense. Saka claims that the Sober Mesa Brulee is not a dipped stick. It's not dipped. There's no sweetening at all. And I agree with him. He did this other thing, which I was going to mention in the news, the STFU exclamation point, which basically STFU you think means one thing, shut blah, 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 blah. But according to Steve, it's Sober Mesa, try for yourself, exclamation point.
I like it.
Right? That was his
Genius.
That was his thing. But I'm telling you, from the first puff, super sweet, just delicious. In fact, I was at Churchill's, which is a club that Joe and I belong to, and I started Googling it. I'm like, this has got to be an infused cigar. It has to be. And it wasn't.
Nope.
It's not an infused cigar. So super sweet. It stayed sweet without. You get some earthy tones as you go throughout. I would say second to last third, you get some earthy tones, but definitely the mild sweetness stay there throughout, which was actually phenomenal. You get a little bit of pepper on the end, just a little, not a lot, but a little bit of pepper on the end. You get a little more with the retrohale. But it was not overwhelming at all. Super smooth stick, just super smooth smoke. And the finish, I got a little like nutty sweetness, which was really cool for a finish. I mean, we talked about that in the last segment, how some cigars you get like I don't want to say a harsh finish, but a harsher finish. But you don't get that with the Sober Mesa Brulee. I got a nice nutty sweetness. So it was a great stick. And again, I'm going to say, for me, Stogie Geeks rating, box worthy. I will buy a box of these all day, every day. It was a fantastic stick.
I agree.
Agreed.
Oh, whoa!
I agree.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Yeah. This is unanimous decision. That's.
We have to keep so much Sober Mesa or any Steve Saka cigars in our lounge, because I'll tell you, Naomi's got boxes stacked to the ceiling.
Yeah.
Over at Prestige Cigars and Lounge over there in Bedford. And I mean, when I have to man the register, and that's every once in a while when he trusts me to man the register, by the time he comes back from his whatever he went out and did, I've already sold 6 to 8 boxes.
Wow.
They just move so quick
Wow.
over here.
Have you had the blues in?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Are they gone?
They are.
Yeah.
They are. So, I will say this. I mean, there's nothing there about Steve Saka cigars that are. I mean, when he put that challenge out about smoke them for yourself, taste them, and people were like, really? And they're like, yeah, they're not flavored. I mean, I had people swear up and down that they were flavored. I'm like, no, they are just as natural as they can be.
It's the tobacco, yeah.
Yeah, the tobacco itself. But there was, I think that Steve is one of the few out there that will. I like his attitude towards the cigar industry.
Yep.
And I think if more people were more on that level with him, then you'd have unanimously everybody just wanting to take everybody at their word and move on.
It's about being sure of who you are.
And he knows
and
that's where you're right. He knows who he is.
That is the key to success. Don't be something you're not. Just know who you are and where you are and know where you're going. And by the way, that can apply to life. Right? Know who you are and where you want to go.
It's very true.
You know what I mean? Family issues, job issues, what's going on at work. People, it's amazing how when I talk to people outside and they're like, oh yeah, my job. Bro, dude, you live in America. Bounce. You know what I mean? Bounce from your job. It's okay. Apply for something else. Do something different. Step out of your comfort zone.
You'll be okay.
I stepped out of my comfort zone. Be good applying for taking a crack at Security Weekly. It's a startup company, right? I took a step. I knew a little bit about cybersecurity. You know what I mean? I knew like how networks worked and whatnot. I went to Xerox, big deal. It's all Ethernet, freaking CAD5 or whatever the hell cable it is and how it hooks up. But you know something?
Sure.
I took internet classes, educated myself to learn how to survive in the space, and I'm able to maintain a full-time job here, right? Yeah. So, in which led to obviously company getting acquired and all of that stuff. So it's like, and even the unknown of that, right? Like, people, Joe runs his mouth and talks and has lack of integrity and doesn't know. We're in the middle of an acquisition here. Security Weekly got bought out by Cyber Risk Alliance. There's a lot of components that go along with that. Right. That we do outside of Stogie Geeks that Johnny's involved in and everyone else here at the production staff and internal staff. And there's a lot of unknowns, but you know something? We're all sure about where Security Weekly stands. We're all phenomenally sure about where Stogie Geek stands. And we're going to move forward. And that's it. And away you go. So that's, I think, is the lesson there. Yeah. And Steve, why'd you think I would roll my eyes at Steve Saka? It's
I
crazy.
Don't know. You're an enigma. I don't know.
Because of Drew? I mean, he put him on the map. I mean,
Drew, did you watch
anybody should be sending him thank you cards. Anyway, moving on. All right. You have something to say, guy?
I was going to ask Drew if you watched the reveal last night of the STFU.
I did not. Are you kidding? I'm running 16 hours.
I watched the whole thing.
I have no bandwidth for that.
I watched the whole thing.
I can't.
18, the 30th for me, because I have to do a lot of financial reports and in the month reports. Oh, forget it. I'm done.
No.
I had a margarita and in bed I was.
I smoked through them suckers of the pack, and I had to know. Like, I had to know if I was right or wrong. I was wrong on 2 of them. So the double dipped was so Steve said, I'm totally getting into the news, so I won't mention this in the news now. Screw it. But basically Steve said one is definitely a regular brulee, one is a double dip brulee, and one is a single dip brulee. And a lot of people, I looked online, and I was even on Reddit. I never go on Reddit, but I went on Reddit to see what people were saying. A lot of people confused the regular brulee with the single dip, but the double dipped, everybody knew. And the best part was, right, and I'm totally not going to say this on the news now, but the single dipped was the F and the U. The FU. Sokka made the F and the U the single dips.
Nice.
So take from that what you will.
There you go. There you go. You have any more news you want to wrap up? Then we can wrap up.
As far as news,
is there anything else you want to?
good.
Is there anything else you want to discuss?
No, I'm
Drew?
good.
Are we going to touch a little bit about the about this? I don't know, integrity.
Oh, you want to talk
from
about
last week?
Yeah,
About integrity.
I just want to. I want to touch on it because you know
Let's
what?
touch on it and then we'll wrap up.
It's important.
Yeah, it is important because you know what? I think we all stated last week that was just. I mean, I know I said it was just. It's an opinion that I don't get it. I don't get where this company decided that they were just going to pull all of their business offline.
Can I just say, I agree with Drew, and not just that. Well, I'm not going to, I don't know. I'm going to step back. I don't want to say anything. The point
the thing is,
it was an opinion. I agree with Drew. It was an opinion.
I think you guys are all waiting for me to use the M word.
No.
Is that?
It's not that. I'm with Drew.
Well, can we land the plane here? Like, what's the big issue here?
Well, I just don't like that. You know that someone decided to. You know, we're a team, so you're going to say something to one, say it to all. And if you're going to say something in that magnitude, and you better be able to back that up. That's all I got to say. You know, when it comes to, you know, when you use words like ingenuity, geez, I can't even say that word now.
Ingenuous.
Ingenuous. And, you know, and your tagline is based around clever, original, and inventive.
And real.
About, you know, yeah. So when you say that, you know, that's just, you know, I just don't get it. I don't understand what McAuliffe, and I'm just going to say the word McAuliffe Cigars, you know, Dan, you know, I understand he sent the letter to you, and, you know, I just don't understand, you know, the non-discussion, the non-form. I mean, you wanted heads to turn. Well, you know, you did it. And people talked about it. And so I think that we opinionated people out there just called it what it was. I mean, it was just like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? You know, but at the same point, you picked on my team members. So I'm going to take this more on the hockey level. So yeah.
Well,
so,
here's my take. A few Stogie Geeks listeners who think that we are speaking a different language.
Yeah, they don't have the background.
Stogie Geeks received a letter to Paul, and it was just stating that they didn't. They're going to not sponsor the show, and so let's make a couple things clear, okay? They were on the show till June 30th, and we kept them on. I have fought since I've been here to not make Stogie Geeks pay to play, and I think I've successfully, we successfully accomplished that.
Just look at the last segment.
Okay. You know, at the end of the day, when other people, what bothers me the most is that when I get a separate email from President McAuliffe Cigars talking about that's not the behavior that we would expect the integrity of our partners to act. And you created a headline, we responded. That's it. Okay? It's like a boxing match, okay? You create a headline, whoever you are, and this could go for maybe current administration, right? when you create a headline, there's going to be people who are opinionated about it, and there are some people who go, "Wow, that's really informative," or "Wow, they really stand by," and "Wow." But you know something? At the end of the day, it's an opinion, okay? And that's why we have a Stogie Geeks listenership about the opinion. And if people don't like our opinion, then that's fine. That's fine in there. But for me to carry a sponsor or a potential sponsor or ask a potential sponsor, there was an incident on the other show where they asked the same freaking question that I asked.
Right.
And it was, describe the relationship between you and the Gomez family. And it was, and I quote, if there was no relationship between the Gomez family and that, would there still be a McAuliffe Cigars?
Exactly.
Okay, so maybe I don't have the articulation or the there. But see, I don't have time to beat around the bush. Drew, my co-host, Nelson, my co-host, we don't have time to beat around the bush. We don't. We hear news just like we heard the other news that Nelson reported. And you know something? If Oliva buys Famous, that's gonna set a trend. And you know something? Hats off. And I don't care if it's Drew Estate. I don't care if it's Crown Head. If a company buys an online manufacturer and we don't talk about it, we're not doing a due diligence as host for the industry. And by the way, if they set a trend, what? That's not like gonna happen? If it sets a trend, they'll be like, oh well, they went first. They didn't get any backlash. Maybe we should do it too, right? Because there's an old phrase. There's an old phrase in business: if you can't beat them, buy them. Right?
Right.
It happened.
Right.
I mean, it happened when I was with Xerox, corporate Xerox, and I dealt with color, okay? Copyfax print scan was all separate, okay? And there was a Creo Cytex rip, okay? And if you wanted to get anywhere with color correction, I'm going to bore you, going from RGB, colors of the monitor, to CMYK, colors of the print toner, there was color correction problems. And it was always Creo and Fiery. And they would battle. They'd fight. Well, guess what? Creo pissed freaking Fiery out so much they bought them. And then it became a super cool printer, right? Awesome, right? Yeah. Awesome. So it's like there. And you want to question my opinion? And you want to question my integrity? Let me tell you something. My whole business model, whether I'm working here at Stogie Geeks, whether I'm working here at Security Weekly, or whether I'm working here at my business, okay, I get paid on that. And for you to even say that the integrity there, it's times like this that I have to be reserved, okay, because this is a platform for the Stogie Geeks listeners to get news, and they listen to other shows, and that's great, and they all support other shows, and that's super cool too, but they get their news because they're interested in the subject. This is a podcast, but I am not going to act, if some other company came up with some idea, I'm going to, and we think it's newsworthy, we're going to discuss it on the show, and I'm going to give you my opinion, and that's it. It's the bottom line. And if you don't like my opinion and you got sand in your crotch, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I really don't know what to tell you as a business, right? And I'm not trying to be a hothead here, and I'm not going to be a hothead here. But at the end of the day, when the ashes fall, okay, either by this means or another means, I will be talking about cigars as long as I am mentally and physically able to do so. That's my agenda.
Yes, sir.
I enjoy it. Now,
Listen.
We are blessed on this incredible platform of Stogie Geeks to do that. But if there comes a time where it's like, okay, enough already, that's it, you guys got to go, we're going to get 3 new hosts in there, then that's not my decision to make, right? That's not my decision to make. But at the end of the day, and it happens in other industries, the opinions are what the opinions are, and you shouldn't alienate an audience. That's like me saying, if you don't shop at a brick and mortar, then you are not worthy of listening to the story. That's crazy. Why would I alienate an audience when I know, and by the way, I'm smart enough to know my metrics, our metrics, okay? At least 30% of our audience does not even walk into a brick and mortar.
Exactly.
Those are our metrics. So guess what? It is what it is. I don't sit there and say, well, you don't know what you're missing. There's an experience to both. But some people geographically can't go there. But going back there, I'm really aggravated that my integrity was questioned. Okay? And I will tell you, and I will look you in the eye, and then I get insulted. Well, if you wanted our stance, you could have called us. I left you 2 voicemails and one at the corporate office.
In emails, I believe.
I've been still asking for an explanation. I've been still asking for an explanation of the relationship with the family. I've been still asking for an explanation of Predex.
Right.
Okay? And by the way, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop and change because a sponsor doesn't like the way that I did something. Okay? That is not my decision to make. Okay? And if I get stopped via this platform, there will be another platform.
You know, and Joe, that's part of the reason I appreciate being on the show. You know, I think what I've been on a month and a half, if
Sure.
that,
Yeah.
right? You and Drew, you guys are real. That's part of the reason I like being on here. And I actually respect what Joe does. And I think the Stogie Geeks know that. I'm assuming that's why the Stogie Geeks listen. I watch, my wife can tell you, hundreds of hours of cigar reviews.
Oh, yeah.
All bullshit, right? Everyone's kissing ass. Everyone's bullshitting. And I actually talked to other cigar lovers about it, that oh, God, I wish these people were just real. Like, really? Every stick is good? Every fucking stick is good? Sorry, I didn't mean to drop the F-bomb.
Johnny will edit it.
Family show.
Yeah.
Sorry. This is the mass hole in me coming out right now. But it just, that kind of thing pisses me off. Like, we need more realism like this. We need people to be real.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just don't get it. You know, Drew, you hit it on the head. Like, he's a team member. Like, you know, Joe, true or false, right? I called you and told you right away. Like, we got you, man. We're behind you.
Yeah, Nelson left me a heartfelt voicemail. It is what it is. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we're either going to talk about them 2 years from now or not. Right?
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, as long as I'm physically able to articulate a thought in my brain and have something come out of my mouth and have a platform, and that's that. And it's simple. And my relationship with Paul, our relationship with Paul is simple. We get a go, no go for the next episode, and then we're going to keep talking. And that's it. And it is what it is. You know what I mean? I thank Paul for having an opportunity to perform or to even speak through a microphone using the Stogie Geeks. And it's been 3 years. And not for nothing, he's been on 3 shows in 3 years. He hasn't been on here. First of all, I look at the business model. The trust is amazing. And by the way, Stogie Geeks, right? I don't sit with Drew before an episode or Nelson or even the interview. I didn't even know when they started, right? If you listen to the thing, because I want that realism to come out.
I can vouch for that. That's true.
I want that realism to come out. Because if I can't stand here for 3 hours, wow, it's been that long. God, we got to wrap up. If I can't stand here for 3 hours and talk about cigars, then I don't belong behind this microphone. And if you guys can't come along for the ride, then you don't belong on this microphone as well. Right? But by the way, that's not my decision to make. It's Paul's decision. It's Paul's business. I have handled Stogie Geeks from January 2nd, 2017 and forward to this date with white kit gloves. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
I never tried to be something I'm not. and he's given us the opportunity for a platform. And that being said, hats off to you, Paul Azadorian, for having allowing us to actually do that. It's a super cool opportunity. It's a super cool opportunity. In regards to the company that wants to question my integrity, that's fine. That's fine. Like, whatever. It's like the politician who doesn't like my hair. It's like the bald guy who says, "Oh, you need a haircut." Well, you know something? You can't grow hair as gorgeous as mine. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? So be yourself. And that's what I love about you guys. I am responsible for Drew being on, and I am responsible for Nelson being on. And I can proudly say that I have handpicked the both of you because I trust you. And I trust you to keep the integrity of the show, not get out there far-fetched from news, not be part of the rumor mill, and hone it down and give you honest opinions about a stick.
Yeah.
And then interview people. It's that simple.
But it's funny you bring up politics. I was thinking, the analogy I was just thinking of is like politicians with super PACs, right?
Yeah.
Super PACs don't influence you. You're the candidate that's real. Like that's how I look at it.
Sure.
And this is like, I'm new to the show. I like this show because he's real. Like this guy, I want to drop so many F-bombs.
No.
This guy's real.
No, don't do that.
I'm not. Family show. But this guy's real. Like, that's why I like the show. Like, I don't want someone to just sit there and tell me, oh, these sticks are great, blah, 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 because my sponsor is sponsoring me. Like, tell the truth. Like, that's what we want to hear as cigar lovers. Like, that's what I want to hear.
And I do want to sincerely thank the both of you for backing me up with that. And I want to thank Paul.
100%, brother.
Because he got the letter, and I'm like, hey, this is what happened. This is what I said. And there were some words that him and I discussed, and it is what it is, and that's that. And you know what I mean? But the trust. See, every time I say, Stogie Geeks, we'll see you next week, peace, right? I think he trusts us.
Right.
And you know something? That's very hard to find when you're looking for a definition of integrity. It's very hard to find when you're looking for that in any industry. And I just want to say I am completely, blessed. And sometimes I get out of a show and I'm expecting Monday morning, Paul says, can you come see in my office? And he may say, ride's over. Like, you're going down a path I don't like. And then if that's his decision, then that's his decision. I would venture to say that he trusts me. He trusts us. He trusted me to recruit you guys. And you guys put a lot of effort into the show. Johnny and Gustavo, the crew here, put a lot of effort into the show and getting the show notes and all the web and all of that stuff. And I just, I'm not even going to defend, but I can tell you that was my opinion, and you shouldn't alienate any audience, and that's the way it goes. And that's really all I have to say about that. And if they want an open mic and they want to come on the show. You are more than welcome to come on the show. In fact, if you want to come on next week, I will bump next week's guest for the show. And you want to come on and defend your position, and you want to talk about that. Because one thing you can say about me is I will look you in the eye and tell you where I stand. And by the way, that's integrity. Anything else you want to add before I wrap up?
How about this new studio?
It's doing great. We got more improvements coming up. Stogie Geeks, remember, we keep the conversation going all week long. Go to StogieGeeks.com, Facebook.com/Stogie Geeks. Email all of your complaints this week to me, Joe H. at StogieGeeks.com. I want to remind you that behind every cigar, there's a story worth knowing. Get out there and shop local if you can. If not, hey, go online. Do what you got to do to make yourself happy.
That's right.
Either way,
Go get 'em.
Get out there and smoke a great cigar and tell a story. By the way, Stogie Geeks, if you want to come on the show and let me know if you have bought a box or a cigar or anything based upon any of our reviews, Joe H at StogieGeeks.com. We can get that rolling. Special thanks to JC Newman, Havana Cigar Club, and Placencia Cigars, and of course, little dark-haired kid from Texas, and Nelson for joining in studio. Stogie Geeks, we will see you next time. Peace.